And say, yo, like a true soldier, so in Solomon, I know.
Hi guys, we are back again, Chale. Today we are in Mamelodi, a city in Pretoria. It is one of the oldest cities in Pretoria, and here to learn history, the culture, and everything this place has to give us. So yes, you are coming along with us. Let's go. So this is the Princess Takeover, and we are currently here. We are exploring the old city here in Pretoria. I'm super excited that I get to learn the history of South Africa. I get to hear the history of Pretoria. So I hope you enjoy watching this vlog with us. Bye.
So my name is Abraham, ne?
I am Abraham.
But here in the township they call me Abza. So
Abza.
You can all call me Abza. Welcome to Mamelodi, guys. Mamelodi, the city of dreams, the home of champions. Those who follow football, they will know Mamelodi Sundown. You know, it's in the map, ne? The city of champions, Mamelodi Sundowns, one of the paramount political figures that is known in South Africa. He's late. He was hanged in 1979. So the people of Mamelodi decided to honor him with this pin seat, and then they combined the Solomon Mahlangu Square with what used to be called as now the city of Tshwane, but that was old Mamelodi Municipal Office. So the story of Mamelodi Municipal Office and the story of Solomon Mahlangu, they saw it befitting to put them together so that they can honor the fallen heroes, because except Solomon Mahlangu never died here. He died at Koshimampuru, but the Mamelodi massacre of 1985 happened here where we are standing. So the people were shot here, they were killed here. There's a huge, what I can call it's a sacred place of political significance to the history and the people of Mamelodi. Amphitheater, you can see. Yeah. So the idea was, when you make a square, you must make something like this. When you have your cultural events, you can all sit here. You can have your group of dancers and performers, or community visitors or meeting. So something that is significant to the royalty or to the clan of Mahlangu, of which they are from Ibukosini. And then as we pass here, there are little poles, guys, but our story still goes back to what I said is very sad about the story of Solomon, because Solomon died for the youth, but the youth instead they vandalized some of this pinnacle. But you are going to see some poles. Those poles, they've got names of the fallen heroes. The fallen heroes, I mean those people who died in November 1985 massacre. So they are still looking for other people. So you'll find some of the posts, they don't have names. So I think they've got a verification committee or something like that. So if they've got those names, they will put them there. But you read around when you go around a little caption stories of what happened around there. Solomoni, yo, Solomoni, yo. isoja wemkondo wesi awobulala mabunu Africa. Literally meaning he was an MK soldier and he was the one who was responsible for liberating us, killing the whites, the colonialists, the Boers of Africa. Bon, let's start it again. I'm saying Solomon and you say yo. Like a true soldier, so is Solomon. Solomon, yo. Solomon, yo. Hey, soldier, Africa, Solomon, yo, Solomon, yo, This place, I told you when we left Solomon that we are going to Motu African Heritage Site. So Ntate Mabena is going to take over.
My name is Ntata Buletseke Kebisaga Mabena. I'm a traditional medicine practitioner. I'm an environmentalist. My practice and belief system is IKS, Indigenous Knowledge. Why I preach about indigenous knowledge? It is because I want to emphasize that there is this tendency when it's Heritage Month, we tend to wear indigenous clothes and talk our language. After that we go back to the colonizers' language. A little bit of this history, the history about this area, we are on top of Makhalis Mountain. This is the strip of the mountain start from Rustenburg. It's a mountain that is having quite a number of information in terms of plants. It's a mountain that is having a very powerful history in terms of wars. And as well is a place that we as indigenous knowledge holders, we take it very serious as a sacred place. Like any other place, other places have caves, they don't have mountains. Other places have sea, they don't have mountains. Other places have oceans and so forth. But these places like this are very, very important that to take care of them. We can talk a big English, have a hell of an English and talk about climate change. But if we don't know exactly how to preserve and protect using an indigenous ways of preserving our natural, what you call places, we will always be confronted by this so-called climate change. This area, as you entered down there, it was a dumping area. But it took me, and collectively with it, not forgetting the community that I live in. Why I converted this place into what it is, as I said, it's a sacred place. This place is playing a very important role, religiously, culturally, politically, and otherwise. Initiation schools. Politically, I'm a former member of Umkhonto weSizwe. I survived quite a number of things. I was tortured by security forces around between 80 and 85. The worst part of, they came and beat the hell out of me just around here and left me half dead. I was picked up by an old man who took me home. Well, I was a nuisance to the oppressor, of course. But I survived. That was around 80s. I survived. I sat down with myself. Then came the dream from my grandfather, who said to me, "You remember the place where you were brutally interrogated by security forces?" I said, "Yes." "Where?" He told me. He said, "Go and clean that place where there is a dumping site." I didn't understand the grandfather. You know, I'm not a dream analyst. Sometimes dreams are so mathematical. And I came to this mountain. I stood around here and watched this place being filthy. And I said, "Wow, what am I going to do?" My grandfather said I must come and build him a house. When you see that tree,
There's something inside it.
this tree, you can see it's like there's a fruit there. That fruit is very important. How did our people manage that? How our elders knew that this is a poisonous plant or this is not the poisonous plant, especially for healing purposes. Our people used to study the animals, what animals eat. So it's very, there are plants that we are sharing with animals. Very nutritious, like that oknapur.
What's the name?
Strychinos. Strychino. Yes.
Is the fruit edible?
Yeah, it's an edible fruit.
Okay.
But it's not yet ripe.
This art gallery has got 3 halls. This is the first hall where I share with the artists that I worked with and some of the artists that has exhibited here before. Like one of the Americans was here from Washington in 2016. He exhibited in this hall. And there's the second hall, which is dedicated to my family, and the main hall is at the back. To start with this first hall, I made a research about mamelodi. These are the blue ones, framed with the blue. The research about mamelodi, and it started with taking a research from the early days when mamelodi was not mamelodi yet. It was still known as Flagfontein, and this area was a farming place. So Paul Kruger in 1948 bought this area predominantly to build the first township around the city of Tshwane. And he started buying the place from these farmers here, as you can see there. This was the farming area. And then the first structure that he has built is this structure, which is called the Easter Fabric. As you know, there's a station called Easter Fabric, which was named after this bricklaying fabric. In order to build something, you need the bricks. So he started by creating the bricklaying fabric. From there now, the first structure was the mamelodi Rondavels, which is towards the west, which is called the mamelodi Rondavels. And this was the early days during the constructions. And these were the inspectors coming to inspect the place. And the finished structure was like this, which is a horseshoe kind of structure. Then people started to stay in the structure. Then by announcing that this thatch-roofed houses will be dilapidating in 25 years, the people started to feel that they will be left out. and hence the first toy in Mamelodi against them to be removed back to the rural areas. And after that toy, the permanent structures came in. This is the first area where house number 1 in Mamelodi is. And the area is called A1. It's in the west.
Oh,
So I'm currently on an exhibition.
you're on exhibition?
Yeah.
Oh, what's your name?
My name is Ephraim.
Okay.
So I'm an artist.
Yeah.
I do abstract art. I do portraits, and also I'm still experimenting on other materials.
Wow.
Yeah.
So these are your...
Yeah. This is my works.
Oh, this is very nice. I really like this.
Thanks.
How long does it take you to make something like this?
This one, okay, it depends on the materials.
Okay.
So this one is a oil on canvas.
Oil canvas, okay.
Yeah, and the oil takes time to dry.
To dry.
So the process of work can take you up to a month.
Wow. Which is your favorite here?
Oh, my favorite.
Yeah, show me your favorite.
This one is my favorite.
This one is your favorite. Why is it your favorite?
To be honest, it's a simplicity, you know.
It's a very simple.
It's so simple.
Oh, I didn't notice. It's made of cardboard.
Yeah, it's a different materials.
Oh, okay.
So it's a newspaper in a cardboard, and also well bent.
Okay.
Yeah.
I came from Sydney. When I arrived home, because I traveled for about 18 hours, connecting to come here for 18 hours.
Wow.
So my socks were like smelly. And my wife said, keep them outside, please. Then I took those socks outside. The following morning I decided to make a pinty, and I used them for an ox stripe there.
Wow.
Those are
Your socks.
yes, my socks, and please don't touch it because I didn't wash it. What do you say?
We're about to end our day with lunch because we are so hungry. I'm so hungry. I can't wait to eat. So yeah, this is going to end this vlog. I'm going to enjoy myself here. So whenever you're around this area and you tour this place, this is also another restaurant you can come. Brings us to the end of this vlog. Gift, come. Yes. So Gift is here from this city, Victoria. What's the name of this town?
So we are in Mamelodi Township today.
Yeah.
That is translated into Mother of Melodies. Mamelodi. Yeah, Mother of Melodies, and this is a township that has got great history, as they've seen. We've been vlogging the whole day, and it's one of those places where rich in culture, rich in credibility. It's well known.
Alright, so guys, we ended the day with some ice cream, locally made ice cream, syrup and water. This was a good one. I had a strawberry first, and that's what I'm still having. One thing about South Africa weather, I mean, look at the glow. Just look at the glow. This brings us to the end of this vlog. I hope you
when I was young, we did not have the same kind of social media that we have today. We've always had social media. Conversation is social media. So people would gather under a tree and converse and all that. So it's not like we did not have any social interaction, but the medium was different. So today we have it on our phones.
With just a click, anyone can access TikTok, WhatsApp, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and a host of other social media applications, of course, on a smartphone. Defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as any form of electronic communication through which users create online communities to share information, ideas, personal messages, and other content, social media, since its invention and introduction in 1997, has become the new trend. Now, 9 out of 10 internet users use social media according to global statistics. Data provided by the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that the country currently has a population of 30.8 million people. Out of this number, some 15.7 million are internet users. A further breakdown by Statistica.com shows that 8.2 million out of the 15.7 million are social media users. This figure represents a 2.2 million increase in January 2021 from the 6 million figure in 2020. From these figures, one thing is clear: social media has come to stay.
Social media has virtually been encoded into everyday life. Social media is now a space you cannot escape from. It's like wherever you pass, there's an element of social media, not necessarily an app, but infused in everyday life.
As the new normal, social media is increasingly becoming more addictive, with new apps emerging every day. But what do people use social media for?
It's a platform for interaction. So I keep in touch with my friends, colleagues all over the world.
I use it to build my vocabs. As you can see, I'm doing some idioms on my tablet, so it helps me to build my English, my reading.
Social media, I use it to communicate with my friends and get to know what's happening in the world.
Most of the time I'm with my phone, and I am very much online, reading, trying to read interesting content, most importantly sports detail.
I'm able to interact with our listeners every day, those that are contributing via WhatsApp, Twitter, or Facebook. I make money from there, because if I post snippets of interviews and jobs that I've done, I get reaction from people who would want to call in.
So there's those whose primary source of fun is social media, and there are those who use social media platforms to gain knowledge. How much of the latter is happening? Research around the world shows there's a direct link between social media and declining reading habits across all ages, but for especially the youth category, the statistics are staggering. Considering the youth form a relatively greater percentage of social media users, this has become increasingly concerning. A study conducted at the University College London on 11,000 children tracked from their birth in 2000, for instance, found that social media could be distracting them from reading and homework, with a potential knock-on effect on their literacy. The American Time News Survey's latest figures also indicates that the number of Americans who read for pleasure each day has reduced by 30% since 2004. And in Nigeria, a 2018 study by Samson Oyemi Akonde and Rachel Oyeranti Oyedapo of the University of Ibadan and Obafemi Awolowo University respectively on the impact of social media on senior high school students in Nigeria concluded that the use of social media has constituted a great havoc on the reading culture of high school students. So, I sought to find out what Ghana's situation was. Is social media having an impact on the reading habits of the youth? If it is this impact positive or negative? At the Koforidua Polytechnic, for instance, a study by Michael Owusu-Chiao on social media usage and its impact on reading habits revealed that there is a direct linkage between time spent on social media and reading habits, and that the constant use of social media leads to low reading habits. Another study by Ekia Santwa Aforo at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology to determine the influence of social media on academic reading of students in tertiary institutions in Ghana revealed that the use of social media among some students in tertiary institutions in Ghana does not augur well for their academic performance, despite many benefits it could provide. These concerns have been reiterated by some learned persons who believe times have changed, considering patterns as it was in their time. Professor of Linguistics at the University of Ghana, Professor Kofi Ejekum, for instance, believes the youth today are more inclined towards getting quick information from social media than reading wide.
If people are tuned to social media, and they are interested in the pictorial and the video and sensational stories here and there. Somebody has fought with a girlfriend and all those things. I'm sure if you put Chinua Achebe's book, they'll read.
Reading was the main.
Former chairman of the Ghana Writers Association, Nana Kwesi Jan Appenting, had a more practical reason for his concern. He explained how things were in the past and how they have evolved.
Indeed, we read a lot of newspapers, because newspapers came in different shapes, and weekend papers, magazines, they were all there. When I was young, if you search in the trotro, everybody would have a newspaper, a magazine, or a book. The fact that today you don't see those, and you see more everybody with their necks craned and looking at their phones and doing social media interactions, would suggest to me, even anecdotally, without any scientific research, would suggest that people are reading less.
Genuine concerns, but Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Library Authority had a varying opinion. First, he said, the low reading habits of Ghanaians has been a thing that existed even before the introduction of social media.
In the late 60s and early 70s, a research was done by the British Council, Ghana Library Authority, and the Ministry of Education to really understand why Ghanaians are not reading. And so anybody that comes to you and tell you that, Ghanaian children of today don't read, tell them that the boss of Ghana Library says that it is never true. Ghana has never been a reading nation, and even if you check our annual report from the 1950s, it was evident that our libraries were being patronized by the experts.
And then he quoted figures as recorded by his institution for the past 5 years that indicate a rather significant increase in reading habits of children and moderate figures for the youth in recent times.
The United Nations will tell you within the age of 14 to 24. So if you want to take those, the age bracket, yes, they constitute the second majority of audience who patronize their library services. But the huge majority, which is about 60%, are the children. And then you could probably have about 25% being the youth, people that are in the senior high schools and tertiary institutions, looking for some resources. So they fall within that bracket. And then you have the adult population that also comes also to use the public library space. If you look at the data from 2016, library membership across the country was 7,246. And then in 2021, library membership alone is 44,234. So that's like versus 100% increase. So that's really the trend we've recorded over the last few years.
So I got the views of some youth to get a first-hand picture of the situation on the ground. Are they reading? I spoke to students at the Presbyterian Boys Senior High School, Legon, and the University of Ghana.
Every day, I think I should read something, a passage, an article, something, but then I do read every day. Personally, I have keen interest in history, and I always want to have broad knowledge about stuffs. So, for instance, anywhere I find myself, whether being in a car or whatever, anything I see around, at least, I try getting a little knowledge about it. So that ushers me into liking more reading.
And then some teaching assistants at the University of Ghana who explained what they have observed has become the norm with students they teach and interact with.
More people are getting addicted to social media, and in forms that are more like music and videos, games, all those things like texting, but it doesn't really give people the time to, I want to sit down, go through a book, unless of course they make like a conscious effort, a deliberate effort to say that, okay, I want to take this time to read.
What we see as teachers, I should say, that only course materials that are required of them, that we see them trying to get knowledge from, but to actually go to the extent of reading those things online, it is very difficult, unless maybe they want to seek more knowledge to do an assignment. These are what you're talking about, unless maybe there are websites that they have to go to tap knowledge and then use that idea to answer those questions. But for a general view or for their personal use, that they are going on social media to read things that are that educated, you don't see often.
I probed more to answer this question: why is social media becoming more popular among the youth?
Social media has something that it connects to my habit of reading. If you ask me why I read, I'll tell you it's more about curiosity. I'm a very curious person. So every now and then I keep asking myself questions, and I find the intersection of social media and reading as a means to answer those questions. So sometimes I would see something in the news and it would trigger an interest to go and read about it, and that's one way to look at it.
It's fun. It's an experience. Social media is live. It's just become a culture that has basically come to stay. We're all accustomed to using social media. Everybody is okay with using social media. And the thing with social media doesn't have boundaries. There's no language barrier, unlike with books. So that's, everybody finds it more easier, feels comfortable, feels like themselves on social media. People's experiences, getting to interact with people everywhere. Social media is fun. It's like having a party alone.
A visit to the Accra Central Library revealed more. Ordinarily, the library is a place for leisure reading, academic reading, a place for acquiring knowledge and referencing, but librarians at the Accra Library, Ghana's oldest library, told us though patronage is high on the part of children, the facility is gradually becoming a place for referencing and academic reading for the youth.
We have the SHS class. They come to always use our academic books. And we also have the adult class. I would term them as the working class. They come to they usually use our history collection and then also the fiction collection. That's what the adults group, that the working class, they come to, the books that they come to use. For the SHS group, they don't really come here to read outside the academic category. Mostly the ladies, they sometimes come and then you see them reading some of the fiction books. So sometimes you get some of the SHS females reading fiction books, but on a scale of 10, about 6.5 they will come for academic books.
These students who were visiting the library told us why they were there.
I come here to study. I read storybooks and other things, novels and those things. So it's helpful.
I work and school at the same time, so normally I use my lunch hours to come here to solve some questions. So basically to study. I love to read, but every day I don't read because I have limited time. But my social media, I would say like 4% or 3%, because comparing those two, like as I went to, I had to use my lunch hour to come here. I don't even have the time. So when the little time I have, I invest them into my either reading, which I barely do every week.
According to Mr. Hayford Siao, a decline in the book stock in the country's libraries contributed to a massive decline in patronage for about 5 years till 2016, when there was a revamp and subsequently a translating increase in patronage.
In 1981, Ghana had about 36 public libraries across the country, and guess the number of books that was on the shelves of public libraries. Can you guess? We had 1,049,526 books on the shelves of these 36 libraries across the country. Fast forward into 2016, we had increased the number of libraries to 61. Guess the number of books on the shelves of public libraries in the country? 349,941. Does it ring a bell? Yeah. A very significant drop. So that is why over the years you will probably have heard Ghanaian children are not reading. We don't hear about libraries. It's because the shelves of public libraries in the country were empty. So if you send your child to the library space and they don't find the resources there, they die of the wind pickets. They are not on the shelves. Now all the children they are reading die of the wind pickets. If a child goes to the library and they don't find it on the shelves, do you think they will be motivated to go to the library again? No. Now, in the past 4 years, we've increased the number of books now to 1,195,008 books on the shelves of public libraries, and that is why you've also seen a corresponding increase in the number of people that visit.
That's one way to look at it. But now, there are electronic books which are accessible on many social media platforms. It is for this reason Mr. Siao argues that social media, contrary to assertions that it is increasing the trend of lazy reading, has rather made reading much easier and access to learning materials more stress-free.
I strongly believe that social media has amplified and has also helped to increase the level of reading of our citizens. Because in those days, consumption of text now through electronic devices is high, and information is rapidly evolving and is moving at a faster pace than never before. And I think our citizens are getting preoccupied with not reading this text or consuming these text resources from electronic devices. Don't assume that because they don't sit to pick a book from the shelf and read, they are not building a lifestyle of reading, or they are not consuming information. The question we have to ask is that, are our citizens consuming the relevant materials? That should be the question. Are the content that we are consuming through social media, is this something that is bringing value to them? I think it's about the period, because it cannot be the case also that those who did not have the distraction of social media prove to be better readers, more intelligent people. It may not be the case, because today a lot more young people have access to information far more than the older generation could ever get. That is also because of access. So I think it's a time thing. And if you were born in this period, this generation, as a student, any other thing, you really learn the ropes of how to still deliver and fulfill your responsibilities, duties as someone who is integrated into the social media culture, and also as someone who is a student who loves reading and all of that. So there's room for all of that. I mean, these days, if you take iPads, mobile phones, people have files, tons of reading materials on those platforms. There are people who find it very difficult, for me personally, not from maybe philosophy books, because there's something with the nature of those books, how old they are, and it feels nice when you're reading them physically like that. Otherwise, given the option, I would always choose a soft copy over a hard copy.
Nana Kwesi Jan Appointing disagrees to some extent. Yes, social media is a good place to read, but distraction on this platform is inevitable, particularly with the abundance of apps.
I'm not saying people should only read hard copy.
Yeah.
They can read, but they don't. And the reason we don't, not even we all don't read as much as, is because when you take a book, there's no other purpose than to read. You know, if you have a conversation, an internal dialogue is with a book. But this one does so many different things. So I may come and sit in this nice place with a view to read a book, but then I'll see this view and I've got a camera. So before I know, I've become a cameraman and I'm taking pictures. It has music on it. Before I know, I'm listening to music. So if I take a book, the book is not going to play music to me. The book is not going to distract me from reading it. In fact, when I take a book, I am going to read it. It is for that reason that we advocate that even though you can read on the electronic copy, on your phones and tablets and laptops and all that, in fact, to cultivate the reading culture, it is better to use hard copy books as we know, so that we form the habit.
But for Joshua and Daniel, many of the youth today have either not discovered the beneficial sides of social media as far as knowledge acquisition is concerned, or they prefer the entertainment and fun side.
I believe that a lot of youth today haven't cultivated the habit of reading from their early days, and so they don't have any other option but to go where they feel they can get enjoyment. But then here's my take: they don't understand what they read most of the time, especially when it comes to pertinent issues that affect our daily living, and so they just go there for entertainment purposes without actually getting the benefits one can obtain from the usage of social media.
For people who are very much interested in reading and very much aware of the fact that the world is changing, they have to keep up with global trends, I think these people would want to capitalize on social media to augment their knowledge base. But for those who they aren't even interested in reading, they feel, okay, then social media is the place that I can just go post pictures of myself, you know, do all kind of things too. Some people go to the extent of just going naked to get popular, and that's a very real issue.
Daniel also mentioned the role society appears to be playing in subtly determining the focus and interest of the youth as far as social media content is concerned. He believes many young persons have become more inclined to consuming entertainment-related content because it is what society has made them believe makes more waves.
We've evolved as a society, and we are a reflection of the kind of society that we're living. So if you live in a society where social media is more or less like something that everyone wants to have, and everyone goes there to show what they've got, and everyone is like, okay, do you have a social media account? Why do you have a social media account? Very few people will tell you because I want to get information from there, but most people look at social media from the angle of popularity, going out there to show what they have and all of that. So, you know, our current society has a reflection on how we think about some of these things. And you realize that at the end, reading is pushed to the background.
After all the views, one thing was very important: the way forward. And I got varied opinions from the experts and some youth alike. First, though, these youth told me how influential their parents have been in the development of their reading habits.
I picked one for my dad. My dad is growing older, but still he likes reading. And then not him alone. With my, I think, was it primary 2, primary 3, thereabouts. I was very dull. I was more than the weakest student. And I had this very teacher, Cornelius. I always praise him anywhere I find myself, that he inculcated into some of us this habit.
My mom was a seamstress, what we call now, in the past we call Adiye. Growing up, my mom was not educated, and so she realized that the only way she could develop her kids was to get them things like books. So even though she could not read, mostly anytime she's coming back from normal vacation, she would bring along books she couldn't read. And you could imagine that sometimes she sits beside you when you're doing your homework. She has no idea what you're doing. But she says, oh, this thing, she has done this, and she has no clue. So for me, it was more of my mom.
And the solutions came one after the other.
The children, give them the feel of real books.
Okay.
When they grow up, they would love books, and then even if they have to add books electronically and all that, they would already want to acquire knowledge and information through books. A book is a whole phenomenon. It is not just you go online and you have Brony and the latest gossip thing, you know. We all like gossip. We all read a bit of gossip, you know. And the first Schwarzenegger has said this and that. But those are not books. So people are reading, but we want them to cultivate the habit of reading a book from beginning to the end, challenging themselves to acquire their knowledge and information in that systematic way.
In leveraging social media, people can follow very strategic people in society, not necessarily in Ghana, but what ideally you wouldn't have gotten on a silver platter. I think a gentleman not too long ago that I skip all Ghanaian content on TikTok. It sounds a bit discriminatory, but I told him I didn't care because they were not adding any value. And the algorithm is so intelligent that it has realized that I really don't enjoy Ghanaian content because it's all kinds of things. People display all kinds of things I cannot say on record. But when you follow some other platforms on the same TikTok, people People are teaching you how to use Excel. People are teaching you how your laptop works. Social media will provide you with that space where hitherto what you would have struggled to mobilize, it presents it to you on a silver platter. But then of course you must know how to harness that plethora of energy that is given to you on that near foot.
Ghana's literacy rate, according to statistica.com, grew by a massive 21% from the 57.9% figure in 2000 to 79.4% in 2018. Is this reflective of the general reading habits of the youth? What can be done?
Welcome to the Ministry of Information. This is usual Wednesdays and Sundays ministers' press briefings, but we have a very special edition today because of a very important program that is happening in Accra. Joining us today is the Minister for National Security and also Minister for Information. We are also expecting some distinguished ministers to join us in course of the program to talk about the Accra initiative. There has been concerns about the security situation in coastal and Sahelian regions within West Africa, and for that reason they have come up with this very important conference in collaboration with the EU to see how best preventive measures can be put in place to protect lives and also livelihoods. But before I yield the podium to the Honorable Minister for his presentation, permit me to acknowledge some dignitaries who have joined us this morning. With us is the Deputy Director of Communications at the Office of the President, Mr. Jefferson Kwame Nasaki. We also have with us the Planning Committee members of the Accra Initiative led by Major General Kotia. We also have with us the Executive Secretary of the Accra Initiative, Mr. Ben Derry. Also with us is Ghana's Ambassador to Belgium, Ambassador Senasian. We also have with us the EU Ambassador to Ghana, Ambassador Rasali. I hope I mentioned the name correctly. And we have with us my former boss and brother, the National Security Coordinator, Mr. Edward Asmani. We have with us the Honorable Minister for Information and Member of Parliament for Fuasia Iribi constituency, Honorable Kojo Nkrumah. And as I mentioned earlier, we have the Minister for National Security, Honorable Kandapa. So I will invite the Honorable Minister for his presentation, and we will also take remarks from the Information Minister and come back to you for your questions. Thank you.
Colleague ministers, His Excellency, the EU Ambassador to Ghana, Her Excellency, Ghana's Ambassador to the EU, the Minister for Information, the National Security Coordinator, the Executive Secretary of the Accra Initiative, members of the Planning Committee, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm pleased to have this opportunity to be with you, and may I welcome all of you to this press briefing on the International Conference on the Accra Initiative under the theme Accra Initiative towards a credible, preventive, and coordinated response to challenges facing its coastal and Sahelian states. Ladies and gentlemen, please indulge me to give a brief background to you on the Accra Initiative. The Accra Initiative started in September 2017. It was out of the desire of the heads of state of some West African countries as a mechanism to strengthen collaboration and also cooperation between their security and intelligence services through the exchange of operational information and intelligence. And its formation was necessitated at the time by the urgent need to address the deteriorating security situation in the Sahel region. The collapse of Libya in 2011, you may remember, triggered the southward movement of jihadist elements and arms to the Sahel region. And by 2014, the jihadist elements had in fact infiltrated the northern fringes of Burkina Faso. They further advanced southwest, culminating in the March 2016 attacks in Grand Bassam in Côte d'Ivoire. It became evident at that time that coastal West African states could easily be attacked by jihadists who were desperate to gain access to the sea and further perpetrate piracy in the Gulf of Guinea, the proceeds from which could be used to fund terrorism on land. And it was to avert the southwest expansion of terrorism from the Sahel to coastal West African states that His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, in conjunction with his peers in the republics of Côte d'Ivoire, Togo, Benin, and Burkina Faso, sought to design a collective response which led to the formation of the Accra Initiative. By 2018, it had become evident that the coastal states alone could not contain the threat without deeper collaboration with the neighbors in the Sahel, who were at the time reeling under jihadist attacks. Mali and Niger were therefore invited to join the initiative, and they did. Today, the Accra Initiative comprises 7 member states: Benin, Burkina Faso, Côte d'Ivoire, Ghana, Mali, Niger, and Togo. The Federal Republic of Nigeria has been admitted as an observer state and hopefully will soon be integrated as a full member state. The desire to incorporate Nigeria is to create a synergy between the G5 Sahel to the north, the multinational joint task force of the Lake Chad Basin, and the Accra Initiative. And this is for good reason, as it will then enhance a common understanding of the threat of terrorism, leading to the design of strategies that would be considered necessary to eradicate the menace. Ladies and gentlemen, the Executive Secretariat of the Accra Initiative is headquartered in Accra here and operates with personnel from the intelligence services, defense, and security forces provided by all member states of the Accra Initiative. And as stated earlier, the cardinal objective of the initiative is to strengthen operational collaboration between member states so that we can prevent terrorists and extremists from taking refuge in a member state, so that we can dismantle terrorist networks and prevent the expansion of cells, so that we can prevent and combat radicalization and violent extremism, and so that we can fight against transnational organized crime. And if I may add, the initiative relies on 3 essential pillars to achieve its objectives. And these are information and intelligence sharing, number 1, capacity building, number 2, and thirdly, the conduct of joint multinational operations. Members of the press may want to know that the international conference is planned to be held on 3 different levels. There will be the technical conference involving non-state actors. There will be a ministerial session involving the ministers of security, Defense and Foreign Affairs, and the Summit of Heads of State and Government of Member States. The Non-State Actors Conference took place from the 17th to the 18th November 2022 at the Accra International Conference Center. It was organized to draw the attention of the international community to the exacerbating security challenges confronting member countries of the initiative, so as to tell the story of the Accra initiative as a response mechanism to the growing security challenges, and also share lessons learned from previous interventions in the fight against terrorism and violent extremism in the sub-region. And in the course of the two-day conference, over 200 participants, including representatives from international governmental and non-governmental organizations, civil society organizations, academia, think tanks, security actors, diplomatic corps, and other multinational initiatives, held panel and group discussions on several probing topics. And at the end of the exceptionally successful technical conference, I'm pleased to report that far-reaching recommendations were proffered by participants to strengthen this fight against terrorism, violent extremism, and transnational organized crime in a holistic, integrated, and comprehensive approach. The recommendations, you may want to know, included areas of governance, security cooperation, and regional solidarity. It also included tackling radicalization, combating the financing of terrorism and extremism, embedding human rights, traditional agricultural practices, and also technology as a tool for change in the fight against terrorism. And ladies and gentlemen, the second level of the international conference is the ministerial session, which is scheduled for 21st November 2022 and will also be held at the Accra International Conference Center. This ministerial conference would bring together ministers of security, defense, and foreign affairs of member states of the Accra initiative, as well as ministers of foreign affairs and ambassadors of European Union member states resident in Ghana and other foreign partners. There will also be other high-level dignitaries, and this will include representatives of ECOWAS, the African Union, and the United Nations. Lastly, there will be the Summit of Heads of State and Government. This is scheduled for 22nd November 2022, and it will be at the Kempinski Hotel in Accra. The presidents of the member states of the Accra initiative, as well as the president of the European Council, shall attend the meeting to deliberate major security issues and the way forward in addressing our common challenges. Let me also state that all heads of missions in Ghana have been invited for the opening sessions for the ministerial and also for the heads of state conferences scheduled for 21st and 22nd November respectively. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, let me please take this opportunity to express my gratitude to the European Union for the technical and also the financial support to the Accra initiative towards this conference, which is expected to bring quite a number of people with relevant global knowledge and interest in counter-terrorism and transnational organized crime to participate in the various events. This, I believe and trust, demonstrates the growing international interest in the Accra initiative and its relevant role in the fight for global peace and security. And while welcoming the interest expressed in our activities and desire for partnership, we shall closely follow our guiding principles and retain the initiative as a homegrown mechanism to address the prevailing security threats. And on this note, Your Excellencies, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, I invite you, particularly members of the press, to cover the opening ceremonies of the ministerial session and also the summit of heads of state and government. And I thank you.
Thank you so much for the insightful presentation, Honorable Minister. I must say that the National Security Ministry has done so well, especially when it came to the campaign on See Something, Say Something, and the huge investments that the government of Ghana through the ministry has made in terms of protecting lives and livelihood. I must also recognize the fact that as a country, we also appreciate that when it comes to security matters, we need not work in isolation, and also for showing leadership and be playing active role in this Accra initiative based on these three key pillars that the Honorable Minister mentioned: conduct of joint multinational operations, capacity building, and also sharing information and intelligence. So thank you so much, Honorable Minister, and I can only add my voice to a call on our friends from the media that the 2-day conference should be widely covered, and also for us to actively participate in the conversations about security within the West African sub-region. I must also mention that the Honorable Minister stated that the conference will be in 3 parts: a technical session, a ministerial session, and also a summit of heads of states. So in a nutshell, that is all that the Honorable Minister mentioned. But I believe some of you may have questions beyond the very insightful and elaborate presentation, and we'll give you the opportunity for you to ask those questions so that we go to the Honorable Minister for answers. So please, if you have any question, this is the best time to ask. Kindly show by hand. We'll bring the microphone to you. You mention your name and media house and then proceed to ask your question. Okay, we'll take Lancer from the back.
Well, thank you very much, Honorable Minister. My name is Musa Lancer with GhanaWeb TV. I followed closely the non-state actors conference, listening and asking questions from a friend I discussed a lot of security issues with, and was part of the meeting. Honorable Minister, did it come up at the non-state actors meeting that some reports of some of the jihadist groups or terror groups in neighboring Burkina Faso are seeking refuge in Ghana and regrouping to go back and then attack? Secondly, aside these multinational discussions on dealing with these jihadist groups, how much are we doing in terms of dealing with some of the triggering factors in our border areas, Boko, Kulungugu, and some other areas? How much work are we doing to make sure that these groups do not take advantage of the fragile security situation there to launch attacks here in Ghana? And I try to monitor security situations within the West African sub-region. And within Burkina Faso, are we not painting the the groups with one brush, calling them jihadist groups. Because if you observe your operations, one thing you realize is that Burkina Faso, Togo, and Ghana have a very important business town called Sankanse. And some of these groups are rather criminal elements who are much more interested in the business aspect. And then another group interested in implementing Sharia laws around Burkina Faso, Mali, and then some parts of Ivory Coast. How are we going to make sure that people are able to look at, understand the situation and provide the information we require from the See Something, Say Something campaign, such that Ghana does not become a safe haven for some of these criminal elements, considering the porous borders we have? And are we considering setting up a standby force in, say, Ghana or Burkina Faso to swiftly deal with some of these elements if the need arises?
Thank you so much for the question, but please, if we can keep the questions brief and ask maximum 2 questions at a time so that other members of the press will also get the opportunity to ask their questions. Yes, Sarah.
My name is Sarah Apenkro. I work with TV3. I would like to find out from the minister, is the current economic crisis a concern for national security? And I want to find out, if it is, are there any collaborations by this ministry and the ministry responsible for youth employment to find out that the effect is mitigated? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, Agnes, and then I'll take.
Good afternoon. My name is Agnes. I report for the Chronicle. So, Minister, I believe that in such meetings, the recommendations that come out are very important. So, I was expecting that recommendations on governance, security, and combating financing of terrorism, I was expecting that you would throw more light on it so that we know how you are going to go about it. So, if it's possible to do that, I would really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Agnes. But you know, when you talk about recommendations, I believe those will be the communications that will come after the conference, where certain decisions have been taken, and then they have a position, and then we can have the conversation. But I'll leave that to the minister if he would like to answer.
My name is Salom. I report for the Finder. In the minister's narrative, he mentioned that everything started when NATO intervened in Libya. In your deliberations with your partners, have you made any overtures towards NATO to have logistical or even training support to stem the advance of these terrorist groups which have come from the Libya region into the Sahel and the littoral regions? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Okay, I'll take that question and I'll come back to you. I saw a hand at the back earlier.
Right. Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. The name is Justice. I work for Shinwa News Agency. You may recall that when Donald Trump became president of the U.S., one of the things he actually concentrated on was to build certain walls, on their boundaries with Mexico. Now, that was, an indication that they saw a porosity in their frontiers that allowed elements that were undesirable into their territory. And when you look at the political development in the U.S. still, the Republicans having won, the House, some of the indications they are giving is that they were going to go back to some of those things. Now, many watchers have said that one of the critical things that we need to look at in West Africa is the porosity of our borders, which allows these elements, to run riot through our frontiers without any checks. And that is one of the things that gives them the boldness to do what they do. In your deliberations, is there any indication that we will need to invest in, strong boundaries among ourselves, cooperation on our boundaries, etc., to be able to stem the tides when these people are trying to penetrate, you know, from one country to the other? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the questions. We'll go to Honorable Minister for his responses and come back for another round.
So thank you for the questions. Some of the reports indicate that some of the terrorists in Burkina Faso are grouping to come to Ghana. Well, you couldn't have had such a conference without discussing some of these issues. Yes, it certainly did come up. Do we believe that there are terrorists outside of Ghana, in Burkina Faso, in Mali, in other areas, who are probably thinking of coming to Ghana? We believe it may be unwise not to assume that. And yes, we do have this at the back of our mind at all times, and we do all that is necessary to make sure that we will always be in good stead. And how much work are we doing to make sure that we can keep off the terrorists? Yes, we need to keep off the terrorists, and we're doing a number of things. Clearly, I cannot elaborate on all the things that we're doing here, but we're making sure that we have enough security officers at the borders to respond to any emergency that arises. We are aware that in this fight, it's not all about your military might. It's not all about your ability to fight them. It's also about your ability to make it more difficult for people to get radicalized. Normally when they come, the first thing they do is try to get a couple of people in the respective countries, radicalize them, and work with these people. Therefore, it is important for us to create a situation where it is not always that easy to radicalize people, especially those who live along the borders. Therefore, apart from what we call the kinetic measures, which involve the use of the security forces and the military, we also have the non-kinetic strategies, which require that, put it this way, we make life more comfortable for those who live in the border areas so that they don't just get easily radicalized. So we're doing it from all fronts. We must hold ourselves in readiness if it becomes necessary to move our soldiers there. We are preparing for that. We are also preparing to make sure that life is a little bit more comfortable than it is now, so that this possibility of radicalizing people when they come is also removed. There are other things that we are doing. These people normally take advantage of ungoverned spaces in the countries where they have moved into and have operated. We're making sure that as much as possible, we do not have as many such ungoverned spaces in our country. But you know, one good thing for us in Ghana is that even in areas, the very limited areas where there isn't a lot of government presence in the form of police stations and local government structures, we also do have the chieftaincy system. And where there isn't any government presence per se, you will find that the traditional rulers also do help a lot. We're taking all these things into account, and we're doing our best. We're doing our best to ensure that we do not get attacked. And in the unlikely event that somebody tries to cause confusion in our country, that we would be able to respond effectively. And are we not painting with one brush all these criminal activities and people engaged in it in Burkina Faso and in other countries? Yes, there are some people who are there for various reasons. Some are there for probably religious reasons. Some are there for criminal reasons. We believe that there are probably more people who are there for criminal reasons than for other reasons. Either way, we do not take anything for granted, and we're preparing ourselves adequately to respond. So let me say that yes, we are aware that there are people whose main interest is to make some gains for themselves out of the confusion, and we are preparing ourselves. And your specific question actually was that in the implementation of the see something, how best can we help to educate Ghanaians such that they can also distinguish between these two groups of people, and so that they can report to us when they get any useful information. Yes, that's very much part of the work that we do under the see something, we try. When our officers go out, they try to draw out the distinction between the two, and we believe that so far we're doing very well. People do have a very good understanding of just what are the problems that we face and how best we can address them. Standby force, yes, we certainly have given a serious thought to it. We believe that it may be necessary. Exactly in what format, we continue to think about it. We probably are not thinking of a standby force where you have soldiers drawn from the various countries and all of them are resident in a particular country and ready to undertake an attack if necessary. We believe there can be different formats which will yield the same results, and I can confirm that the respective chiefs of defense staffs of the various member countries have been working closely together, and they do know the best way of handling this matter. So we will not say that we're setting up a standby force resident in one country. There are other ways of achieving the same result, and as I said, the chiefs of defense staff have given lots of thought to this and are working on it. So is the current economic crisis a concern, and its youth unemployment a security concern or challenge? I mean, clearly the current economic crisis is not something that we are not taking into account. I don't know why you call it current though, but we've always known that inability to raise the necessary resources can be a problem for us, and at all times we try to make sure that we are accorded the necessary priority in the distribution of resources in the country. And I can also confirm that so far we don't think we have been disappointed. We believe that the necessary priority has been given to our economic needs, the economic needs of the various security agencies, and we are confident that going forward we will continue to have the support that we believe is necessary to keep all of us safe, to keep all of us secure. Youth unemployment is a huge problem, because you see, when you have a large number of people who are unemployed, the youth, the possibility of them getting radicalized is also there. Very much part of the solution must be our ability to handle youth unemployment in a better coordinated manner, so that youth unemployment per se does not continue to be a major problem. Youth unemployment, I can confirm, translates into a huge security challenge, and we are always worried about it. We do work closely with the other ministries to ensure that we can address this particular problem, which we know can be a major security concern. I don't think we have enough time to discuss the many ideas, the many suggestions, the many recommendations that came out of that excellent technical conference by the non-state actors. Let me say that that was a very, very brilliant move that the Accra Initiative Secretariat did, because we should not leave the solution in the hands of state actors alone. It is important that we go along with the non-state actors. Within civil society, within media, within academia, you have quite a number of excellent brains, excellent ideas that can help us to fight the problem that we have. And the decision to bring in the non-state actors, I think, was a very beautiful one. And as you will see, quite a number of interesting things did come out. Let me just say that we will be distributing copies of the communique that came out of the discussions, and you will be able to find some of the things that you were referring to that you wanted me to address. So, are you making any effort to get the global community to help us in this? Clearly, we are. And we are, in fact, hoping that following this conference, this conference essentially is to sell the Accra initiative to the global community. We are expecting that in the first quarter of next year, probably January, probably February, we are going to have a donor conference where we will be expecting friends of Ghana, friends of Burkina Faso, of all the Accra Initiative member countries. We will expect that they would converge somewhere in one of the Accra Initiative countries and probably make pledges to help us. It is important that we do that, especially for those countries that are not under heavy attack. The observation has been that with some, say, I'm just quoting a figure, probably with $1 million, you may be able to keep them away. Once they enter, you would need more than $1 billion to drive them away, and even then you will not be successful. We will be making an appeal to the global community that they should look at things this way and help us as much as possible to prevent them coming in the first place. Building walls probably could be difficult in our circumstances. You mentioned a place like Sankaze, where so close to the border, they know themselves, they are the same people. There are people who live on the Ghana side and farm on the other side. There are some people who live on, say, the Burkina side and come to have dinner with their parents on the Ghana side. A border may not be the best way of doing it. But you know, these days you can take advantage of technology. There are a lot of things that can be done. You don't need so many numbers of soldiers and immigration officers at the borders. Technology can help us, and we are exploring the various possibilities that exist and have started investing in that area to make sure that we can manage this very, very difficult problem of maintaining the porous borders that we have. So coming up with a wall, probably not the best of idea, but it is not something that we have not considered. We have considered. Do not think it is the best thing to do in our particular circumstances. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Honorable Minister. Please, we will take another round of questions, and then go for the minister's responses. So please, if you have a question, I can see only one hand. Nana Poku, okay, Paul, okay, Musa again, and a call. Okay, in that order.
Good afternoon, Honorable Minister. I have two questions. Bad governance.
Nana, please, your name and media house.
My name
for
is
those who do not know.
Nana Poku from Daily Searchlight, please. Bad governance and its effects have been a source of worry for most West African countries. And you know that when people feel marginalized and they feel that there has been some situation of inequality and disparity in terms of sharing the national resource or cake, they can take up arms. So what is your meeting going to do, as it were, to address this very thing? Because it has been the core of some of these misunderstandings in the sub-region. My second question, before anybody embarks on these terrorism and things like that, then they might have gotten their source or their strength from another source. Where is that source coming from? Who is funding these people? How do they get their finances, their training grounds, and their arms? Where do they get it from? Have you studied and found out that this comes from source B or source C, and how are you going to curtail it such that they can be disabled not to continue some of these insurgencies? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So take Paul.
Good morning, Honorable. My name is Paul Nyuje-Dalafu from the Daily Statesman. And my question is, recently there was a statement which is believed to have been from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, cautioning Ghanaians who are potentially willing to travel to Nigeria, Abuja, on the current security situation in that part of the West African country. And there was a later statement which was counted describing such statement as fake. And I want to find out from the minister what is Ghana's position, since some of the countries or some countries like US and others have actually cautioned their members who live in Nigeria to be aware of the security situation. And my next question has to do with, I think recently some people were rounded up in Karaga over some alleged terrorism and extremism crime, and we are not been told about what is the update, and I want to find out if the minister can actually tell us. And lastly, but not the least, the minister...
Please, can we just ask two questions so that your colleagues will also get the opportunity?
Yes. With regards to the fight against Galamsey, we know we've described this as a national security threat, and since the commencement of the fight, government has made a lot of efforts to do that. There was some time a certain Asawan was repatriated, and some say deported and whatsoever. But once he came back and she was rearrested, we understand she came through our neighboring country, which is believed to be from Togo. And I want to ask the minister, do we as Ghanaians have the cause to worry on how people get into the country illegally? Thank you very much.
Thank you for the question. We'll take a call and then.
Good morning, Honorable Minister. Before you assume the reins as a security chief, in your past life as a minister, I did not associate you with dark glasses, which is something that is quite characteristic of all seeming security operatives.
Is that your question?
It's one of my questions. It's one of my questions. Any special reason why you are in dark glasses since becoming this minister? Okay, now that's an introduction. Minister, Ghana is at a time where, on the back of Galamsey, there's a lot of weapons in this country. We have places we call dollar power, I know you know, where it is perceived that some of these radical guys take gold, illegally mined gold, and they smuggle it through the borders and becomes a means of funding ammunitions. We also have economic crisis now, as per my president. Then there's also the shade of food security. There's a trend that we follow that shows that our food basket, which is the northern belt, is not being able to transfer food down south as much as they used to. But the trend is showing that a lot is going into Sahelian countries, up north. the middle belt where we should cook the food should also be coming from is galamsey endemic. Hence, all these prices we are seeing. Have you considered food security as part of this whole enterprise that you are embarking upon? And also, how galamsey and all these ammunitions that we have and dollar power and all that it portends for us at such time when even the economy itself is also biting.
Thank you for the questions. We'll take Musa. And I think I saw a last hand. Okay.
Thank you very much. Echo set the tone for my question. The last time the Savannah Regional Minister was here, I asked him a question about dollar power. I've been to dollar power. I've seen the people who are there, including former rebels in Ivory Coast and from Guinea. We're supposed to have a forward operation base built there. What has caused the delay in setting up this forward operating base? And secondly, the same thing is cropping up in the Sicily area, especially between the Upper East and Upper West region. If we know the Sicily River, a new galamsey area is cropping up. Is the minister aware of this? And what are we doing to make sure that we don't get to the dollar power stage where it becomes a community of people from other West African countries with weapons, as Eko mentioned? Thank you.
Thank you so much for the question. I thought I saw a last hand, but if there is no hand up, I take that to be the last question. We'll go to Honorable Minister for his responses and also his final remarks.
Governance, good governance, bad governance. Let me put it this way. In most of the countries where we have had these terrorist problems, challenges, attacks, a lot of people, the media, academia, civil society, they have taken their time to study the causes. And in most cases, they will normally refer to bad governance as contributing significantly to the problems. And in the conference that we've just had, the technical conference, is another matter that came up, that we really want to be very careful with governance, that bad governance can attract these terrorists into the various countries. And yes, you are right, marginalization can be a huge problem in any country. We need to encourage inclusiveness. We need to be able to get not only the political parties to be able to work together, we need to be able to get non-state actors also to work with government in trying to build our country. I strongly believe in the need for inclusiveness at all levels, and I do agree with you that going forward, we should always have it at the back of our mind that marginalization, lack of inclusiveness can cause huge problems for this country. Even if not from terrorists, internally it can bring some problems, and we need to be able to work on that. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged by some of the efforts that are being made. There is the realization among many people, among the politicians, and I think both sides of the political divide in Parliament, for instance, now talk about the need to have everybody included in the scheme of things. And in Parliament, you also hear them talking about the dangers of marginalization. So probably as a country we have learned something from what is going on in other countries, and I strongly support this suggestion that be very, very careful about marginalization, be very, very careful about lack of inclusiveness. Normally when they complain about being marginalized, don't let it be seen as an unnecessary demand. Let's go into it. If a group of people believe that they are being marginalized, it is worth investigating. Probably they will come to realize that, oh, I see, given the facts, we are not being marginalized. Or we can also come to appreciate that, given the facts, in fact, they are being marginalized. Let's be able to work together as we go forward. Where do they get their monies from, the terrorists? I think, again, civil society, academia, they've done a lot of work in this area, and government agencies have also done a lot of work in this area. And we believe we know where they get their monies from. We didn't want to elaborate here. We believe we do know where they get their monies from, and we're working on it. Probably not good for me to tell you where we think they're getting these monies from, because we're working on them. We're trying to plug the holes in most of these areas, and at times it helps to let them also keep guessing whether we know what they're doing or not. But clearly, very much part of the solution is to find out how they make the money in the first place to buy the guns, to buy the weapons that they use to perpetrate the criminal activities that they engage in. And in actual fact, one of my the presidential advisor on the Accra initiative, General Duamanfo, is currently in India, where there's a conference on terrorist financing in Africa and the Sahel. He is participating and telling them what it is that we know about financing of the terrorists. Put it this way, we are aware that very much part of the problem is not knowing how they get their funds from. We work on it. We believe we know where they get it from, and we continue to explore where they get it from. Travel alerts. Yes, there was a travel alert. Probably the Minister of Information can say more about this. But as far as I know, and from our investigations, you could say that it was fake. It was totally unauthorized. It wasn't something that the Minister for Foreign Affairs knew about. We don't know how it managed to go that far. And I congratulate the Minister for coming up promptly to say that it was not authorized. So it wasn't authorized. Yes, we know about the activities in Karaga. There are similar activities in so many other areas in Ghana. Again, one of the reasons I don't normally talk to the press, when we are engaged in some of these investigations, we don't like talking about them. And I'm sure you agree with me that it may not be very wise on my part to talk about it. But let me just say that the challenges have not just been in Karaga. There are similar challenges. So the L and the R's keep conflicting. I'm an Ashanti, you see. There are similar challenges in other parts of the country. But clearly, I don't think it's good for me to talk about it. Galamsey and its effect on the terrorist challenges that we're having, I would rather put it this way. In Mali, in Burkina Faso, the terrorists have always been attracted to gold mining areas. Clearly, they try to make money from gold mining activities to undertake the criminal activities that they do. The criminals, they want to take advantage of Galamsey activities in our country, also to raise money to do what they do in other countries and what they may plan to do in our country. we are aware of this. We're studying it. We believe that we are. We do know what it is that has to be done in this area, and we work hard to make sure that we are not overtaken by events. But clearly, one way that you can make cheap money to go and undertake some of these criminal activities is galamsey. So it's of interest to us, and I'm happy you mention it. Illegal entry into Ghana can be quite a problem. You know, in ECOWAS, we have already agreed that there should be free movement of people. But should there continue to be free movement of people, even when we know that these people come into our countries to undertake criminal activities? That is the challenge, and that is what we are working hard in collaboration with our neighboring countries to try to solve. Technology now allows us to collaborate in a number of ways, and we are taking advantage of that to make sure that all those who enter Ghana are people who should be allowed to enter Ghana. Or put another way, that people who want to come to Ghana for some criminal activities, especially when they are already known criminals in the other countries, the collaboration we have in will be able to alert us and therefore stop these people from coming. So I started wearing dark glasses some years ago. I'm not sure whether that was before I became Minister for National Security or not. Are you sure? I think I've been wearing it for a long time. But if you care to know, I wear dark glasses because I have some eye problems. So when I take off the glasses, you will find that this eye, for instance, is very red. I keep having surgery on it, and the best way not to frighten you when you see me is to put on the dark glasses. Otherwise, you keep asking, why is your eye so red? Dollar power. You wouldn't have a security service if we didn't know about dollar power. Yes, we know about dollar power. There are other dollar powers elsewhere apart from the dollar power that you know, and I can only say that we do appreciate the challenges. We do appreciate not the challenges, the danger, and we're working very hard on it. So you can rest assured that we don't need dollar power. It's totally unacceptable, and we don't need the other dollar powers outside of the very popular dollar power that you know, and we are working on it. So we produce the food. Planting for food and jobs probably is working very well. I'm pleased to hear that. But you believe that most of the food goes away instead of staying in Ghana for us to enjoy. I cannot deny that we are aware of instances where smuggling food outside of our country, some of these agricultural produce to neighboring countries, we are aware of them. And in fact, we do have a special unit now that is working on this particular area. We do invest heavily to support our farmers, and we believe that Ghanaians should be the major beneficiaries of whatever produce we get from our farmers. So we are aware of the challenge, and we working on it. The forward operating bases, the FOBs, yes, we identified that there is the need for FOBs in various places. As you yourself confirmed, we're working on them. We have a number of them under construction. Most of them are probably nearing completion. We will continue to invest in the FOBs. Some of them have not progressed as significantly as we would have expected by now. But I'm told that there are some good reasons why we were not able to move faster with those bases. But all those bases that we considered extremely important are either completed or are nearing completion. It isn't one of the programs that I have. I'm fairly comfortable with the progress of the forward operating bases that we have, but we will continue to work on that. I'm talking about food being sent outside of the country. One of the things that we've tried to concentrate on in recent times, following the publication of the National Security Strategy, is to strengthen the Human Security Department of the National Security Ministry. We should be interested in food security. We should be interested in the economic lives of the people. We should be interested in making sure that health facilities are their main areas of concentration. But we are also doing a lot to improve upon the human security aspects of the security, the national security of the country. So thank you. I thank you very much for the questions. I'm sorry I'm unable to give specific answers to some of the specific questions for security reasons, but I thank you.
Honorable Ministers, Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for attending upon invitation, and thank you for the beautiful presentation, Honorable Minister. And as you engage all member countries in this difficult conversation tomorrow and on Tuesday to arrive at some of the most important decisions to protect our people, we would assure you of our continuous advocacy for citizen participation in terms of what is expected of us to help you in protecting our respective countries. Thank you so much for your time. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
We have just 3 months to go to the elections in Nigeria, and February 25th is not going to come easy because we have 3 main contenders to the presidential seat. They are Tinubu, which you all know. We also know Atiku Abubakar and Peter Obi. Well, this our show, Nigeria Election Desk, is going to bring you all the updates from Nigeria and also prepare you towards the issues that are being discussed in the country. This is Africa Web. This is MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we'll be right back after this break. Welcome from the break. This is Selection Desk on MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we are going to Oshogbo in Osun State to speak with our correspondent. He's called Francis Ikemefune, and he's going to give us updates on the election process and also all the things that are happening in Nigeria. Hello, Francis. How is the country going? How is the temperature like? Is it 16 degrees or is above 30 degrees?
Like the mood is expectant. Nigerians are already in the fever. We are getting set for the election come February 2023, and activities are on. Like today, the APC presidential candidate is in Jos. They are starting the presidential campaign from there. They are there. Most of them, APC governors, the president and the vice, the presidential candidate, they are there. Apart from that, Osun being an APC state, even though there will be a change of a baton, a change of a government from APC to PDP by the end of this month, the mood is high, either from the APC and from the PDP. The mood is high, preparations are on, all parties are putting hands on deck for a successful election and come next year. The atmosphere is we are in election fever in Nigeria.
Okay, and mentally, do you think Nigerians are prepared to vote if the elections were supposed to be held today?
Yeah, Nigerians are prepared to vote. If the election is to be held today, Nigerians are 100% set to vote. The electoral umpire is set, even though they are still putting one or two things in place. There's a law on ground, the Electoral Act 2022 as amended. There's the introduction of BVAS, there's electronic transmission of results, no electronic voting. We have not gotten to that stage yet, but there's electronic transfer of election results from the polling units to the INEC server, and there's introduction of BVAS where you will come, the machine will verify you if you are being registered, and if you are registered, you will now go on to vote. Or if the machine does not verify you, you will not be able to vote. And with the introduction of the BVAS, the chances of all these politicians engaging in rigging, violence, has been reduced to the barest minimum.
Okay.
We've all registered. INEC has commenced a voter verification exercise since Saturday for eligible voters to go and cross-check their data. If there's any error, now is the time to correct it before the election next year.
Okay, so there's the talk of the documentary which was released by David Onde on Ahmed Bola Tinubu concerning his allegations of drug trafficking and also being the bagman for some heroin traffickers in the early 90s. Has this affected the electoral process, and what is the reaction of the people right now concerning that piece of information that's out there?
Right now, let me answer the question from this angle. The electorate in Nigeria, we are polarized into, I would say, the older generation and the young generation, the younger intellect savvy netizen generation. The older generation, they are more concerned with which party does this person belong to, or the individual. When they say which party, APC, okay, it's APC I want to vote for. I want to vote for Bola Tinubu. They will say, okay, Bola Tinubu. They don't want to know whatever crime he has, alleged crime, whatever he has been allegedly involved in his past. All they know is this person is who we want to vote for. But the younger electorate, the tech-savvy ones, they have the information. They can look up the information on the internet. they have means of getting the information via the traditional media and the social media or the new media as we call it. So there's a polarization and there's an anger. There's an anger. Anger in the air. A carryover from the NSAS protest of October 2020. There's anger because the national grid has collapsed severally this year. There's anger because the price of foodstuff has gone up exponentially. There's anger because the naira is not doing well with the dollar and other currencies. So there is anger. They are the ones that will receive out this information and they will make up their mind. Okay, I'm not going to vote for so person. This person I want to vote for. But the APC information machinery, they've gone to town. Despite the fact that before now we've been hearing such information that social presidential candidates had been involved in this volatile president had been involved, was a drug baron, was a this, was a that. The information was in the public space. And because he decided to contest to vie for the position, it's now that the information is even getting stronger. The information has been there. So the information machinery of the party has been doing everything possible to but it's like this. The allegation is there. Despite the fact that they are making noise about it, that is not a crime, but the allegation is there. Notwithstanding, people that will vote for him will vote for him. People that will not vote for him will not.
Okay, and you talked about anger, and there's already an INEC statement which is telling supporters of Peter Obi to calm down. Obi himself has come out to tell them to calm down and also allow the process to work and not abuse people. There's a lot of young people online who are also very abusive against people who do not support Peter Obi. How serious is this currently?
The Peter Obi thing is a phenomenon. Nobody planned for it. Even the Peter Obi himself, I'm sure he did not plan for it. Because there is this aspect of social media, they call them the obedience. There are this aspect where they call them the obedience. But if you look at the Peter Obi phenomenon, like I said, there's an anger in the air, a transfer of aggression from the NSAS protest of 2 years ago. Most of these people that were involved in that protest, they pitched their tent for Peter Obi and the Labour Party. The APC, they are recycling old politicians that still who has been in the system for years, for more than 20 years. You see, Atiku Abubakar, he has been in the system for more than 20 years. That these people don't have anything to offer. That's on the other hand. But you see what is happening to Peter Obi and his supporters. Really, there have not been any violent demonstration whenever Peter Obi is holding a rally. It's just an apprehension, because most of the supporters of Peter Obi, they are the youths, they are the opposing mobile, they are the angry ones, they are the ones that the NSAS protest, what they aim to achieve, they could not achieve. Even when the government set up panel of inquiry, they could not really achieve it. They are the ones that are putting they are solidly behind the personnel of Peter Obi and the Labour Party. They don't want to know whichever party he belongs to. They are just seeing him as he is different, he's a third force. He is not in the APC, he's not in the PDP. So probably that is the apprehension that INEC want to curb and to curtail. But really, there has not been any protest, any violence whenever Peter Obi is holding his rally. No.
Okay. And finally, we also got the news that Bola Tinubu does not want to be part of any town hall meeting or presidential debate, and he would do that when he wants to. This is from Fanny Karode, and Is it something related to his health, or it has to do with the heckling that was happening? Because Fanny Karode was also referring to heckling, and that there's a difference between presidential debate
and also a town hall meeting, and they need to know which one they attended.
You know, in Nigeria, there are some people that when they speak, Nigerians tend to ignore them. When they talk, Nigerians tend to ignore them.
Yeah.
And if French America falls into the category of Nigerians that when they talk, the populace will just ignore them. They don't take them serious because it's a Syria they can pick. That is for him. You see the issue of Bola Tinubu not appearing in any town hall meeting or presidential debate. I think he's taking Nigerians for granted. Though no law makes it compulsory for him to appear before a town hall meeting or a presidential debate to talk to the people. But for the sake of we want to meet these people one-on-one, what do you have for us? What do you have for us? This is what we want for you. Can you give us this? It's not the issue of manifesto. Nigerians are tired of listening and reading and hearing from politicians telling us about their manifesto. When they get to office, they will not bring any of them to pass. We want to hear you speak. Tell us what you want to do, and we'll hold you accountable through what you say.
Okay.
So I see it's not appearing before any presidential candidate, presidential debate or town hall meeting as being arrogant. Though no law makes it compulsory for him to appear before any. It has become a norm for public office aspirants to come before the people and lay out their plans. People will get to see them and talk to them and hear them and see them. He too will feel the pulse of the people. But so he not doing it, I wouldn't know why. For me, I feel he's taking Nigerians for a ride.
Okay, thank you very much, Francis. We'll talk to you again next week on the happenings and the things that are going on in Nigeria towards the election. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Now some great insights from Nigeria, and thank you very much, Francis Ikelefune from Oshogbo in Osun State. We'll be coming back into the studio to discuss some of the topical issues that Francis brought up. This is the election desk on MyNigeria, and we're going to talk about some of the things that are happening, including the accusation that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is or has been indicted on some drug charges in the US. The documentary is going far, and we need to look at it and see if indeed it's something we should worry about, or the country shouldn't worry about it and move on. There are so many other topics to discuss. This is the election desk on MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe. We'll be right back to introduce our guests and also to delve into the discussions. Welcome back from the break. This is the election desk of MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and our guests are seated and ready to dissect the issues that we have on board today. On my right is Alpha Shaban. He is a political analyst and somebody who knows a lot about Nigeria. He works with the Africa Web Group. And on my left, we have Adiola Babatunde, and he is also an editor with MyNigeria. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Well, let's start with Adiola. How do you feel when you heard about the Tinubu incident concerning the whole drug trafficking allegations and then the heroin issues and him being the bad man for a cartel in US in Chicago? How do you feel about it?
Well, I think that stuff like this are normal, seeing that we are in an election period. The opponents, that's the PDP and the Labour Party and every other, who would more or less try to discredit the candidate of the ruling party, not just any candidate. And this is somebody who has actually done well for Nigeria, actually done well for the state, contributed a lot for the state. So I'm not surprised, and these are one of those things that we should expect from the political season.
Well, this is somebody who has a lot of money, and there are so many accusations, allegations around money and how he made money as an accountant and all of that. Isn't this something that might affect his chances in the elections?
No, for Nigeria, I don't think Nigerians pay attention to stuff like this. Within the Nigerian political space, we have different blocks, and the blocks consist of APC and PDP, irrespective of what happens to their candidates or what people say about their candidates. They are not moved, So whether this will affect his chances, I don't think so. The Nigerian democracy, if I should say, has not really gone past partisanship, if I should say. So the moment somebody is brought up into this particular political ideology, it's quite difficult to tilt them away from there. So I expect that nothing is going to change irrespective of what's happening.
Well, let me go to Afar Shaban. We need to delve deep into this issue, and the way the documents came out, the way the court documents came out, the way responses have been coming back and forth, and also the way the party, that was the All Progressives Congress, came out to discredit the video even before it was put out. So many people were told to write to YouTube to stop David Hundoing from airing the video. With all these activities around it, did you feel there was some bit of truth in there? Do you think it's something that was really a stain on the candidature of Tinubu?
Okay, so thank you. What I would just like us to go back a little bit. This is the dirty season in Nigeria because it's election time. There are votes at stake. People are fighting tooth and nail to ensure that they get their blocks in shape so that the elections can be secured. And for a country that in 2015, for instance, had a Buhari who was contesting an incumbent, and the biggest scandal against Buhari at the time was that he didn't have a WAEC certificate. But Buhari's contested and won. Do you know when his WAEC certificate came out? In 2019, when he was going to seek re-election, that is when that certificate that was missing in 2015 popped up. So it's typical Nigerian political season. There is debt being thrown at anybody. If it stakes, it's fine. If it doesn't stake, we still move on. So these drug charges or indictment issues have come strong and hard at the Tinubu character. And if you look at Tinubu, he has never addressed it himself. He has this wall that has been built around him, so he is secured of himself. So his spokesman is the one who is taking all the flack. He's explaining everything away. And one good thing that is helping Tinubu is the incumbency factor. Tinubu belongs to the ruling party. You don't expect the ruling party candidate to have a crisis that would overshadow their campaign. It's not possible. They have incumbency. So if you realize, one of the biggest things that happened was when a fake document came out that the Independent Electoral Commission, INEC, was after him. What happened? INEC issued a swift disclaimer. We didn't know anything about it. It is fake. And then they ravished it. So it is now the word of the journalist, David Hundeyin, against the word of the APC.
Are you saying INEC was very quick because Tinubu belongs to APC?
INEC was quick because, one, Tinubu is a major political player. So they need to address issues relating to, if it was a smaller candidate, I'm sure they wouldn't have.
They would be unfair in that instance.
Yes, it happens.
Well, this is quite a big
Nigerian politics. Incumbency.
Insinuation, though. I think it's an insinuation against INEC because if you say INEC couldn't respond quickly because the person belongs to a different party,
yes,
I think that's unfair.
There is precedent in Nigeria. All of these things happen. INEC was quiet when Buhari didn't have a certificate. They never spoke about it. When it came up, there was a fanfare.
Can you compare having certificates and also a drug charge?
But the drug charge has not been he has not been indicted in Nigeria. It's a charge from outside the country, and you need that collaboration. The Americans haven't written to anybody in Nigeria. This is a journalist who is after Tinubu. So that is where it ends actually. So for me, I think that the Tinubu character doesn't feel the heat, but his henchmen are doing all the dirty job for him. So I think he's fairly okay. And in Nigeria, like he said, those who vote for Tinubu have made up their minds. Those who vote for Atiku have made up their minds. So it's almost as if you are looking for people who are already looking for something against him to throw more dust at him. And I think that's where it ends.
Now the issue of fake news, because the INEC response, you could see that it's something that they were really against that fake press release because it dents their credibility and also their image with some of these things that you are saying about how they quickly responded. Isn't it something that they really wanted to do against the fake news going around rather than trying to please the incumbent party? I want to take this from Baba today.
I think that like Shaban said, Bola Tinubu is part of the ruling government, which means that most of the government agencies are under him. I remember in 2019 or so, the EFCC were actually attempting to investigate Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Unfortunately, because of this same government in power, the case had to be dropped. And for stuff like this, obviously, if INEC decides to investigate him, or if EFCC decides to investigate him on a matter like this, it will definitely affect him, and it's more or less like you're painting his campaign with a black brush, which will definitely affect him. So the best thing they had to do was just to ensure that they more or less sweep the so-called allegation under the carpet and make sure that Tinubu is clean. Tinubu is not a drug lord. We are not investigating him. The EFCC also issued a statement that they are not going to investigate him. Even if they're going to investigate Tinubu, it will most definitely affect the 2020 election, seeing that it's too close. And if they start to investigate him, there's the tendency of there being a court case will come into the picture, and when a court case comes into the picture, most likely elections will not hold in February. And probably that is what they are trying to avoid in terms of they issuing a disclaimer that the statement is untrue, or EFCC saying that they're not going to investigate the matter. They're trying to avoid a situation where Nigeria goes into that uncertainty. And now in the Nigerian system, there's too much uncertainty to add this, so probably is for the greater good that indeed they just came out to do what they are.
And if I may add, EFCC, INEC, most of them take orders from the villa. True. It must be clear that go ahead with this investigation. That is why we have orders that drop this investigation against this person, and they do. So in the previous EFCC chairman's era, Ibrahim Magu dropped a lot of cases because the presidency had told him that these cases, drop them, and he dropped them. He himself became a victim of dropping cases, and he was kicked out.
But it was an advice and not like an order, because it's an independent body.
You hear in the media that the head of EFCC has been summoned to the presidency, and then he comes out and he gives an order that we are dropping this case.
So where is the independence of INEC?
That is why we keep saying that the incumbency would always play to the advantage of whoever the ruling party is backing, and in this case is Tinubu.
That's quite interesting, because putting an independent body in the light of like a stooge of the ruling party, it makes it quite a bit incomprehensible, and definitely Nigerians will not be happy about having an election body that takes orders from the presidency, which is also part of the election. And I want to dissociate ourselves from the statements of our guests, because this isn't something that we align with.
Rationality of Nigerian politics.
It's very harsh, and we don't know if it's true or not. However, David, now the person who brought up all this documentary, a lot of people think he has some personal scores against the ruling party, and well, the issue is, what is his interest in Ahmed Bola Tinubu? Is it that he has a document and he wants to just put it out before it's too late? Is it that he wants to save Nigerians from getting a leader who has a very dirty past? What could be the issue?
I think that firstly, David is just doing his job as a journalist, I should say, and an investigative one. And anybody who rules Nigeria has a very, very big say in what happens to Nigerians in the diaspora and what happens to Africa as a continent. And David feels like having a so-called drug lord or somebody who has been indicted in drug trafficking ruling your country, it creates a certain perception for Nigerians, not in Nigeria, but Nigerians in the diaspora. So I listened to an interview a panel was part of today, and basically what he said was that he didn't see why somebody who has been perceived to be part of a certain drug cartel would not want to lead Nigeria. He made an example of Pablo Escobar in Colombia. He made an example of the president from Panama who was alleged to be a drug trafficker, So that perception from Nigeria's diaspora, he wants to change that. Now, secondly, he he has said it several times that he doesn't want an Atiku presidency. He doesn't want a Tinubu presidency. Why? Because these two stalwarts, like they like to describe themselves, have been in Nigeria's politics since 1990.
So that's a case. It means that clearly he doesn't like somebody.
Clearly he doesn't, no, not that he doesn't like somebody, but he feels like these two, Atiku and Tinubu, haven't contributed enough to change the fortunes of Nigerians. Mind you, Atiku has contested the presidency for almost 7 times since 1990. Buhari currently, before he won in 2015, he had contested for about 3 or 4 times. Now, Tinubu has also been in this political space, being a very, very key player. He has been in positions where he needed to make certain key decisions that suit the Nigerian people. Unfortunately, they failed, according to him. So he wants to see somebody different. He wants to see a new Nigeria led by a candidate who doesn't have any political string, who is not attached to any political party, who doesn't have any political foundation that is dirty. And that candidate is Peter Obi. He said to me again, when he was pushed to the wall, that Peter Obi is his candidate. Peter Obi is his person. Peter Obi might not be the cleanest of politicians, but according to him, Peter Obi is better than Atiku.
Well, how is this objective? And looking at someone who's a journalist who needs to be objective, does this help Nigerians and Nigeria in any way? Let me ask Shaban, please.
Okay, so I'll summarize what Baba said. He being against Atiku and Tinubu simply is because he believes Nigeria deserves better. These people are hawks in Nigeria's politics since the last 3 decades, and they haven't changed much, so they deserve better. How ethical or how fair it is for him to take a stand is basically this. Nigerians believe they're at a juncture where they must move past the 2 main political parties. So even journalists have taken stands openly. Musicians have taken stands. They've declared they are voting Peter Obi. Journalists, actresses, actors, like people generally in society have taken a stand. And I think David Hunderin is doing exactly that by saying that I have a responsibility to my people to tell them that this is where I stand. If you believe in what I'm saying, come, let's go out.
So as a journalist yourself, is that the way to go?
So that's why I said Nigeria is going to a juncture where he believes that the journalists must speak out and up. They must not be, these are the facts, decide for yourself. The journalists must say, I've taken a stand. If you want to come along, let's do this. If you don't want to, it's fine. But in any case, I think that he's also seeing the bottle as half empty instead of seeing it as half full. Tinubu's drag past is not in the last 20-30 years. It's way back. Tinubu's most recent political past has been the revolution he brought in Lagos. It has never been his drag past. His drag past is like going 40 years back, like when he was young, when he was a young person working in
the early 90s. Yes.
Exactly. So you see, if you want to talk about Tinubu now, the stain you can stain Tinubu with is corruption. That when he was in Lagos, he held Lagos by the scruff of Lagos's neck, and all the major businesses there, he has a percentage in it. So you can use corruption against him. But this drag thing, it's like way back. A lot of people don't even remember who Tinubu was back then. They remember when he became Lagos governor, how he fought Obasanjo and the federal government, how he made Lagos what Lagos is today, how he made Lagos an investment hub, how today Lagos's economy is bigger than Gabon, Gambia combined. It's bigger than Togo, Benin combined, because Lagos has become a mega city. So it is Tinubu's revolution that brought all this about. So whilst he's talking drugs, the APC is talking what? Who Tinubu has been in the last 30 years. How many people has he brought up? The last 3 Lagos state governors pay allegiance to him. Governors along the southeast pay allegiance to the southwest, pay allegiance to him. And in the north, because he supported Buhari, he has a core base in the north because Buhari would campaign for him. So David is doing something, he's pursuing a cause he believes in, and I like that. But I think that he's chasing shadows, really.
Populism, I'll call it. Because gathering people and getting people who are supporters of Peter Obi, the obedient, putting all these populist ideas out there, and also a lot of journalists and people, being part of this whole allegations and assumptions of populism is what we discuss. After this break, this is Election Desk on MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Okwe. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back from the break. This is the Election Desk on MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe, and we are discussing issues surrounding the elections in Nigeria. February 25th, 2023, we are voting in Nigeria. We are voting for a president and also for governors and other elected officials. However, there are so many things going on, and currently one of the main things are violence. Well, there's a lot of violence online. When you go to Twitter, say something against Peter Obi, and you find a huge number of people, an army of obedience, as they call themselves, attacking you. And a lot of people have called for some restraint. Obi himself has been called and asked to relax and tell his people to calm down, and that it's an election, it's not a fight, and it's making the environment, the atmosphere, very tense. However, it's still going on, and a lot of people are really wild at getting Peter Obi as president of the Republic, and they are doing this based or through their social media following and followers. Our guests are in the studio. Alpha Shaban is a political analyst with AfricaWeb, and also Babatunde Adiola is also an editor with MyNigeria. Let me start with Alpha Shaban. Now, obedience, it started like play. From nowhere, there were so many marches in several cities, and a lot of people came out without any support from Peter Obi, but they came out and said, no, we need a third force, because APC, PDP, they've done nothing for us over the years. The country is difficult. The whole world is in this global economic crisis thing. Nigeria is no different, and Nigerians are struggling. Many want to leave the country, and Peter Obi looks like the guy for the people, and they think, yeah, we need to fight, and literally fight to get Obi in power, because he is fighting for frugality, he's fighting for accountability, and also to save some money. Do you think they are in the right direction?
Okay, so social media has been a game changer in this election. It is set to define a lot in this election, but let's also be careful, or let's situate the people who are after Obi or people who are supporting Obi in a very specific context. These are not people as in a broad-based group of people. It is predominantly young people who are tech savvy, who are online, who believe with the numbers that they are seeing, it is likely to translate into votes. But that's a different topic for another day. What you see online may not necessarily be what is going to translate on the ground or on the day of voting. So that's the first aspect. Now, if there are modus operandi going to necessarily deliver Obi, it is already giving Obi headache, because Obi has had to issue disclaimers several times that, my people, let's be obedient, let us not stray, let's remain focused, we have a task to deliver, let's not do things that will let people rather move away from us, but people pivoting towards us. So he himself has had that concern. He has been called to call his people to restrain themselves, and he has done that a number of times. So clearly you can realize that Peter Obi is in a dilemma, because he is not actually in charge of the people who he is even leading, because those people are online, people who maybe have never met him before, but just believe in his cause. What is Peter Obi's cause? Peter Obi's cause is his track record. He was a governor of Anambra State for 8 years, and according to the records, he governed the state well. There are pieces of controversy around him, but it is believed that his lifestyle projects someone who is very, like you said, frugal, someone who likes to save rather than spend, so that he travels alone, he carries his bag alone. He's not a typical Nigerian governor. The governor will have aides and security people all over him with pieces and all that, like as if he's a president, but he doesn't do that. If you see him traveling with his bag, he's pulling it along himself. So people have seen him in that light, and they believe that when he gets to the seat of the presidency, he can translate that. I'm sure he can't, but they believe he can make a better arrangement than what they currently have. So that is what they are doing. But whether or not that noise or that buzz can translate to vote on the ground is a different ballgame, because people keep saying that Labour Party has a vibe, but they don't have structures. If you go to maybe Asima State somewhere in the north, you're not going to find a Labour Party person there, but you find APC, you find PDP. So people are saying that politics is local. What happens on the ground is what we're talking about. Social media is not a constituency. Nobody is going to vote on social media. So the day of election is what will let everybody's eye clear. Then everybody will know that, oh, okay, this is really what we are after, or this is not what we are after. And if I may add, and I'm sure I'll take it from there, a recent repost against Peter Obi came from a very close ally, the current governor of Anambra. And he has given it obedience, like very hardly, because he said something about Peter Obi and they came at him, and he has replied. And he's actually a former central bank governor, and he's also a professor. So you can imagine, he wrote a very long treatise, and then he was giving it to them. So you can imagine, people in society are already tired of the kind of vile and bile that they are throwing out. So it's affecting Obi. But whether to translate to vote, I doubt personally. I don't think it will work.
Well, so many others are also saying that the supporters of Obi, they can throw punches, but they don't know how to receive them. And most of the time, you see them going all over and all out, fighting people who say anything against Obi. And currently, the Anambra governor saying that the Labour Party has no chance, and that they are rather supporting. I think that it says they are rather supporting Tinubu, I think, or is that Atiku? I think they said Tinubu, they are supporting him rather, because with Obi they are taking the votes away from Atiku, which they can use to win over Tinubu. Do you think indeed Obi has a chance with these kind of people out there? Because history has showed, or even statistics has showed that there's a lot of young people in Nigeria. The young people are way more, those below the age of 25 are more than 50% in Nigeria. And also these people are the population that's supporting Peter Obi. But would they come out to vote? Now these are the questions that a lot of people have in their minds, including Peter Obi himself.
Yes, I think I agree with you. And Nigeria's politics has gotten to a very, very critical crossroad, where electorates and millennials, the oldies, are confused as to what they really want to do. And Peter Obi has brought in a spark of life into what we would usually know. Throughout the years, Nigeria's politics is about PDP, APC, or PDP, ACN, CPP. Two parties who are going for the main prize. However, Peter Obi's emergence from the PDP, where he defected to the Labour Party, has brought a different bite to what we typically know. Now, what makes it more interesting is the fact that he has an army of supporters behind him, mostly on social media. Now, these are people between the ages of 35 and 18. And mind you, like I said, Nigeria's major population is within this age range. Now, the fear is that these guys are on social media. Fine, they can say all they want to say, they can be aggressive all they want, they can do all they can be your propagandists all they want to. But again, on the day of election, they come out. Another fear about Peter Obi and his chances is about his structure. Now, this is somebody who was in the PDP up until, days before the presidential primaries of the PDP. He was there. The PDP has a structure. Like Shaban said, if you go to Katsina, PDP is there. If you go to a village in Oshogbo or Oka, or if you go to Nasarawa, we have PDP structures there. What is the structure? We have constituents, they have government, they have House of Representatives, they have ministers, they have senators. APC has that, PDP has that. ABGA, Charles Soludo of ABGA, they have that in Anambra. At least they have a governor. That is a structure. In as much as they don't have a governor out of Anambra, they have a governor at least. And that is the structure we need to win an election in Nigeria. Does Peter Obi have that? Does the Labour Party have that? No.
It looks like he's breaking that structure of PDP, because he has a following in PDP and some of them moved. And now he has embraced the young people too.
Peter Obi's presence in this particular election is revolutionary. He's changing a lot of things. But will he win this particular poll in February? I heavily doubt it. His chances are probably 2 over 10. I doubt it. again, like I said, the structure is not there. You might have the following on social media, but the fear is, will these your obedience come out to vote on that day? IPOB struggle is still there. IPOB saying they're not going to support Peter Obi because they believe he's still going to do what a typical Nigerian president will do. All they want is that they want a Nigerian president who will guarantee them their way out. That's what IPOB wants. Will Peter Obi guarantee them their way out? No. Or will he promise them to give them their way out? He won't do that. Now, does Peter Obi have the structure in the southeast? Maybe. At least he has a number. Does he have the structure in the southwest? That's almost nothing because that is dominated by PDP or APC. In the north, he's running with my desire to could pull a few votes, but I don't think that's actually okay for him to win a presidency. So we are looking at the statistics and looking at what we all know as Nigeria's politics, or the road to Ashura in Nigeria's politics. It doesn't happen. Anything can happen though.
Well, we have 3 months to know if indeed he can pull those numbers that he wants.
That would be a big surprise.
The INEC has spoken. We want to speak about that.
But the young people, I think that's to also take notice of the fact that there's no monolithic block of young people back in Obi. There are youth groups in APC and PDP. So at best, it only has a group of young people who believe in his cause. But then let's also realize that he doesn't have all young people, or majority of them. He can't even say majority of them, because the other parties have youth groups that are also have massive following. So even there, it has a bit of a deficiency, or a struggle. So yes, like he said, I think it will have a lot of work to do if he really wants to capitalize on what is going on now. But as to whether it will translate to vote, well, that's for February 20.
Yes, and also the violence. INEC has spoken against it, but now the problem is with Peter Obi having all these support. Yes, there are some known faces. There are so many people in entertainment, so many people in other places, but the core of the people, they are faceless and they are online. But when they go out there to march in the streets, you see so many people out there in the streets. But now, are they all registered to vote? Can they do that? If there's any violence and those perpetrating the violence are holding the flag of the Labour Party, definitely Peter Obi will be accused of leading his supporters to perpetrate that violence. So it's been out there to tell them to calm down. Elections are sportsmanship, it's democracy, everybody has a say. But do you think he may also lose even further? His case may be worse with all these teeming young people who are out there, clashing and having all these fights.
Well, as it stands now, it hasn't been physical, it's been online. Predominantly, it's been online.
There's been some few physical issues in some states, which INEC has addressed, that some states have had some issues
with, especially with Labour Party.
So it's general, but in this case, they see more of the young people screaming Obi, and it looks like it's Obi supporters, but you can't really say who they are.
So basically, if any party begins to exhibit signs of aggression, it's problematic, because for Nigeria, that is a multi-ethnic, multicultural society. It doesn't go well. Because if you hear Igbos touch Yorubas in one place, or potentially all Yorubas at the other side will be endangered, and all Igbos at the other side will be endangered, and you have to switch places immediately. So potentially it's problematic. Nigeria is a melting pot. It's very, very dicey. You can't predict. So it's a concern. But Nigeria's security situation is already bad. So they don't even need anybody to complicate it. And if you remember, in 2019, Buhari postponed the election 24 hours to, right? He had calls to tell them that we are pushing this election 24 hours to, when they had done everything. So you can imagine how the security architecture is. It's very, very frail. Anything little, it will break. So as it stands now, Peter Obi, the only thing he can do again is to appeal to his people, because he doesn't know most of them. Most of them are faceless. Those who are even taking the campaign to the grounds are overwhelmed, because there's so much work to be done. They thought it was easy, but you are in a country where you have how many old people? Buhari won with how many? 50 million? Atiku had the same thing. So you can imagine, you are gunning for 30-40 million votes. That's a lot. And this is not the main, it's not the total population. This is just those who voted, valid vote cast. So you can imagine how many people you have to deal with. So it's overwhelming. So Peter Obi himself might suffer a burnout if all of these things continue happening. He will be best out at at a presidential
rally.
How do you call it? Presidential debate. He went out one of these days. I'm sure it's part of all this thing about going up and up. Today has traveled than any other person. He's been around the world literally. He's been in country. So Peter Obi has a responsibility to convince people, but also convince more than anything his core base.
Could this burnout be what Bola Ahmed Tinubu is facing, reason why we withdrew from taking part in presidential debate? We'll discuss that after this break. This is Election Desk on MyNigeria. We'll be right back. Welcome back from the break. This is the Election Desk on MyNigeria. My name is Ismail Akwe. We are discussing the major issues surrounding the Nigeria elections, which is coming up on February 25th, 2023. We'll be part of the action. So you watch us on MyNigeria TV on YouTube, and also follow all the updates on www.mynigeria.com. Now we are discussing some of the issues, and Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he says he's done with presidential debates and you can't force him to have it. Now, Femi Kayode, who is his spokesperson, spoke about it and gave some reasons. He wrote, I think on Twitter, that you know very well that Tinubu is has been engaging in debates and town hall meetings. He did one in Mina, one in Nasarawa, and one in Lagos. These are discussions that had television cameras and crews. He's very good at that and would like to do that. Now there's a difference between a town hall meeting, which is televised with a number of presidential aspirants or candidates there, and a presidential debate. A debate is a debate, and we have been doing that for years. We know what a debate is, but we have not had any debate yet. What we have are town hall meetings with various presidential candidates. Some of the programs organized have not gone too well. Look at the one organized by Arise TV, where PDP thugs and Peter Obi and his obedience were shouting. This does not encourage us to go to places like Arise, for example. Tinubu will have to make that choice himself at any point in time, and he's the kind of person he is. That decision has to be left to him. We never say never to anything, but at the same time, if and when he's ready, it is to be on his own terms, and when he's ready and when he feels like the atmosphere is good. Now this coming from Femi Kayode, who posted this. Femi Kayode, and could this be cowardice? Because he's saying clearly that he's not seen a debate, he's seen a town hall meeting, but they are really invited for debates, and people are screaming, supporters are screaming, so he doesn't want to engage in that until he's ready. Could this be cowardice? Him moving backwards, him not being able to answer the questions, not trying to show weakness in terms of the energy that he has. He's a 70-year-old man, for God's sake.
Yeah, 70 plus, but you could say. I saw the interview today, and I think that the strategy that has been employed by the APC might affect the candidate. So Tinubu, we know, is loud. He likes to speak. He likes to engage the media. He likes to speak to issues and debate issues. That's the young Tinubu we know. Now, lately, since for the past 2-3 years, he's been going to the UK for medical checkup. The last time he was in the UK, he spent about 4 months there. I think he was treating his knee. So obviously, even if they would like to say that the presidential candidate is not in the best of health. Now, so why he doesn't attend this political debate, number one, it could be probably due to his frail health. Number two, it could probably be because he's not too comfortable with the heckler, because for the past 2 years again, Nigerians have called on him to stand down. I remember when the primary started, there were certain viral videos of him messing up himself when he went for an engagement. There are viral videos of him sleeping at certain engagements. Now, this tells you that his body is weak.
Are you talking about the fake ones?
No, these are actual.
Because so many others also came up and these are actually deepfakes.
No, these are actual videos. These are actual videos of him stealing himself. These are actual videos of him sleeping at engagements. So his health is a concern. And you know, Nigerians...
But that's not what Femi was saying.
I'll get there. Nigerians, over the past years in the Buhari presidency, have not been comfortable with a leader who has ought to travel, you know, for medical checkups. Buhari, the last time, spent about a year in London treating himself. So the most recent time, I think he did a few weeks. A few weeks, he went again. So that concern about the health of the Nigerian president is there. Now, what is the APC hiding? Are they hiding the fact that he's not healthy, or are they hiding the fact that he doesn't know how to debate the issues, or are they protecting Tinubu from what Nigerians will say? Mind you, he made mention of the Arrest TV, the Arrest TV town hall, and it was terrible because if Tinubu were there, I wouldn't want to imagine what would have happened because the obedience were actually very, very aggressive. His absence alone put them off. Tinubu wasn't there, Atiku wasn't there, Shetima represented Tinubu. Shetima is much more healthy, or stronger, or younger if I should say. Tinubu, Atiku due to certain engagement wasn't present. His vice was there, Femi Okoya was there, Peter was there as well. So for FFK, who interestingly have said in the past that Tinubu will never be president, and he now supporting the same man, I believe the APC are protecting Tinubu from something which Nigerians don't know. But the lines are ticking to the fact that Tinubu is not more healthy. Tinubu is weak due to age, and the controversies surrounding him are quite terrible, that exposing him to media might ridicule him. And the conversation is still there, and I mean, as FFK said, he wants to choose his battle. He wants to be comfortable. If indeed I'm going to go for this engagement or this debate or this town hall, it has to be on my terms. What are his terms? FFK will have to tell us that.
That's quite interesting. And as you're talking about age, you know, Atiku is 76 and Tinubu is 71. Even though there is also another confusion around the age of Tinubu, because they claim that he doesn't know when he was born, and these are some of the things that really you hear when it comes to elections, where like the right situation of Buhari it keeps happening. But how do you see Femi Karade's statement? Do you think it's really gave out what Tinubu should have said?
So if I had the first bite, I would have taken it from where you ended. Was it cowardice? That's just what it is. Why is it so? It's so because look at Tinubu's engagement since the last few months. It has been monologues with people coming to praise him. Nothing more, nothing less. Tinubu has hardly had journalists posing questions to him. Tinubu goes for a town hall meeting where he addresses the people. This is what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do, and then the media carries it hook, line, and sinker. That's what he does. Tinubu has not subjected himself to any critical questioning since he began his campaigning. Even through his bid for the APC ticket, he did not go through any rigorous interview process. So this is a man who, one, he lacks the capacity. If he meets, if he meets people like Ifeanyi Okowa, if he meets people like Atiku, the robust conversation that is going to go on, he cannot match up with even the pace of the speaking, because he speaks much slower as compared to the rest of them. So his speech will naturally drag as compared to those who are speaking. So one, capacity-wise, he's not like as healthy as you expect. That's why he has to ride a bicycle, he has to ride a treadmill, a 6-minute treadmill for everybody to be happy that, yeah, our president is in shape. Meanwhile, we know that he has been working bent in a certain... Bottom line, Tinubu is not fit. If he's 71, Atiku is 76, for crying out loud. So the point is that the APC is comfortable with drawing their own terms and then bringing their own banking scheme and then marking whatever they want. So they thought that we are not going to allow him to go here, we are not going to allow him to go here. So what they do is that they push Shetima to go at a point. He goes, and then when they don't like even anything to happen, they just say that we have boycotted it. So that is typically what the ABC is doing.
But the heckling, do you support the heckling and the ridicule that comes from the obedience?
No, the truth is that Nigerians want to avoid a situation where our next president, most of the time, spends time in the hospital. And I remember the situation where I was in the UK. It affected Nigeria because obviously there was no leader to lead. So that was more, yes, it did. And now Nigeria.
Are you saying Osinbajo didn't have any role in that instance? Because he played a good role. People were happy about it.
No, he did. But Osinbajo is not a typical politician.
You see, where I want to
assume the role as of vice president based on what's a recommendation from Tinubu, and Tinubu was calling him from.
So you mean it's not fit to be a vice president?
Please. What I'm saying is that Osinbajo is not a typical politician. Fine, he has the power of vice presidency, but there's a cabal in Abuja within our Rock that respects only one man.
Which one is that?
The president.
Of course, the president is supposed to be in that.
So the cabal is powerful than Buhari himself.
Shaban.
That's a fact. Aisha was fighting them.
This cabal respects the president. The president takes certain decisions. I mean, the cabal even challenges the president. Now you have the president who is not even there.
Are you talking about ANC leadership as who are you referring to as the cabal?
Well,
okay, let me just go back a little. You see, Nigeria had a situation where like Jonathan Yar'Adua got sick, was in Saudi Arabia, having transferred presidential powers to Jonathan. So hawks came to take the power. So Nigeria amended their constitution to say that before a president leaves, he must write to the National Assembly and transfer presidential powers before he leaves, so that if he's incapacitated outside, the vice president can still act because of what happened between Yar'Adua and Goodluck Jonathan. So whenever Buhari is leaving, he transmits a letter officially to the National Assembly telling them, I am going. I have transferred presidential powers to Osinbajo. Two things Osinbajo did that shows that he took presidential power. He fired the spy chief when dollars were found in the Lagos estate, and the spy chief was found to be there. He disbanded SAS. SAS is one of the biggest things. SAS is the biggest thing. SAS is part of why Obi is who he is today, because the youth bulge just followed him. So Osinbajo took those two critical decisions. To fire a spy chief in a country is no joke. It's like to fire a national security chief. He's the head of SSS or DSS, whatever they call them.
Is that Bakari or?
No, not Abakari. Abakari was a chief of staff who died from COVID. But he fired another Maman something. But he fired that guy who was a very powerful guy at the time. He fired him in Buhari's absence. He disbanded NSAS in Buhari's absence. This is someone who took presidential authority and acted on it. So why are we saying that he's not a typical politician? I think he exercises presidential powers. So whether Buhari is there or Buhari is not there, I think that someone was there to act even if there was a cabal. And I think somebody in those two instances, I think he showed that he was capable of taking the wheels if Buhari was not available. So what I think is that we should all agree that Nigeria needs a president. You cannot tell when the president will fall sick. If Buhari is sick, he goes for his medical checkups. He comes back. He went for 9 months. One of the years in his first time, 9 months, Buhari was away. But the country ran, nothing happened. So I think that, yes, Nigerians don't want, no country wants a sick president. Every country wants their president to be present. But in this case, Tinubu is sick, that's a fact. I think that he's not totally fit. And Nigeria has to make do with who the people elect, because it's a democracy. If the people elect Tinubu, we can't do anything about it. They stay to take care of his ill health and everything. But for all you know, Tinubu is better than Buhari because Tinubu comes with his own money anyway. Tinubu take care of himself. Buhari was being taken care of by the state.
So on this note, is Nigeria ready for the elections in February?
Oh, Nigeria, I think that Nigeria is ready for the elections.
It's ready?
Yes.
I think we should be directly discussing to INEC. Because they are basically going to conduct the whole election process. But I think that with...
so I'm talking about the mental, the psyche or the state of the country and how people are
I think that Nigerians are actually ready for election today.
If election was held today,
Nigerians will be ready because Nigerians are tired. Inflation is high. The security challenges are just rife. A lot is happening in Nigeria that people are frustrated.
They don't want to see Buhari should just go.
They want a new president.
That's all. Nothing more, nothing less. Buhari should just go.
Buhari should go. So that is in the election desk on MyNigeria. This is the first edition. We're bringing you more of this weekly. You watch us on YouTube, MyNigeria, and also on mynigeria.com. My name is Ismail Akwe. Our guest, Alpha Shaban, is a political analyst, and also Babatunde Adeola is also an editor with MyNigeria. We will come back with more information, more analysis on the topical issues around the elections. This is the election desk. See you soon.
We need to have more devices. Like, you can still teach coding on the board just like the way you teach math and you teach science, but I think we would all agree that people need to be able to practice with a device.
Internet of Things, artificial intelligence, wearable devices, and the rest. All of these are digital innovations that have come to Ghana, have been built by the world, and they are accepted by us. We are also building our own. However, how fast are we building them, and how are they helping us improve our economies, our people, and even our revenue generation in the country.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the nominees unveiling of the second edition of the GhanaWeb Excellence Awards, coming to you here from our studios in Accra. I am Paula Amabruni, and I'll be doing this with the gorgeous Elsie Lamar. Great. Elsie, what better way to celebrate you than to highlight their works and projects on Ghana's biggest website?
Of course, this is Ghana's biggest website. And I see it as a very great opportunity for us to highlight the works of the youth more louder than we have always done.
Great.
So I feel this will go a long way to impact their lives and to help them do more, and to encourage those that feel that they have not been recognized enough to come out of their shells to also do more than they have already been doing.
Great. Yeah. So after weeks of perusing the various nominations you sent for this year's awards, the time has finally come to announce the names of the people you nominated in the various categories, and it's an honor for us to be here today to get the job done.
This year's event is the youth edition, and 16 young Ghanaians between the ages of 15 and 35 will be honored for excelling in their various fields, and this will be held under the theme, "The Future is Now."
And it's sad to note that our former commercial manager, Mr. Eko Blankson, who was very instrumental in the institution of the GhanaWeb Excellence Award, unexpectedly passed away on October 3, 2022.
Here at GhanaWeb and ADPU, we have some fond memories of him, which we believe we will not forget anytime soon, but we want to share just a little with you. Stay tuned.
Sharing the hospital.
I'm sure there's somebody who is looking at this watching this video who really admires you. So what you have to tell
around me, but please reach out to me and tell me.
So you want them to come here?
Yes, come here, come look for me. It's very important to me.
So do you want to put your number out there? No.
Blanson's memory, AfricaWeb has decided to hold a solemn award ceremony. Hence, this year's GhanaWeb Excellence Awards Youth Edition will be held virtually on December 21, 2022.
On the 22nd of June 2022, nominations were opened for this year's awards, and we received hundreds of names from you, our viewers and readers.
The board for this year's award has spent weeks reviewing and shortlisting a maximum of 5 persons each for all 16 categories, and it's now time to let you know those who made it to the various categories.
A lot of young people in recent times have ventured into agriculture, a very crucial part of our economy, and our first category seeks to honor these nominees, and they are Maurice Adai, Isaac Kofi Inketia, Aloysius Atta, Hakim Shakor, Nana Adjoa Sifa.
Our next category will honor a young person in the digital space. Ezilema, I heard that now the money doing the digital.
The money did the serious.
Okay, now the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Information Technology. Here are the nominees. Prince Owusu, Pablo Ano, Dixon Omari, Henry Edu, and Mashwood Hilia.
Youth excellence in media and communication. And one thing I like about this category is the fact that some of the names there are not known.
The popular ones that we know.
Yes. So it brings out the people that are actually working, but we don't get to see them. You know,
let's highlight their works and projects.
Yes, let's see them. And the nominees are Angela Bamford, Kojo Sheldon, Anita Ekufu, Tracy Mensah, Michael Ejapa. Next up is the Youth Excellence in Sports. The nominees are Trehan, Thomas Pate, Evelyn Bedu, Benjamin Azamati, and Samuel Techi. GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Women Advocacy. Now, these women are known to be activists when it comes to matters relating to women. You see them all over social media, on several media platforms, championing the cause of women. And let's look at them. The nominees are Bella Mundi, Ivy Bali, Akosia Hansen, Lilipel Baba Otu, Inshira Baye. The next category is the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Fashion. Here are the nominees. Amanda Nalamle Odate, Felicity Amankona, Samira Elsueba Pugh, Selina Dibiako Mensa, and Mavis Nelson. Youth Excellence in Music, Drama, and Dance. And here are the nominees. Kobina Ansa, Clemente Suarez, Jackie, Dan Scott Lloyd, Black Sharif. So when you look at this category, it's packed. We have a playwright in there, we have a dancer, we have a singer. Yes, comedian. So my particular interest is Dan Scott Lloyd. Okay. Over the years. That's it. No. I think he has risen. You know, in recent times, he has had a lot of brand endorsement deals. And his collaboration featuring traveling from countries to countries in recent times. And this is something that, to me, is an evolution. Because when it comes to dance here in Ghana, I've not seen any artist that has gone as far as he has. Do you like dance and being duly recognized? Like it's going to be a very packed category because we have Blacko, then we have Jackie, we have Kabina and Sarah, exactly, Clemento, and then your favorite Dango. They're the best man or woman. Exactly. The next category is the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Health. Here are the nominees. Erajuaminu, Hannalisa Tete, Benson Owusu, Dr. Grace Backman, and David Tete. Youth Excellence in Education. Here are the nominees. Josephine Marie Godwill, Daniel Doche, Divine Kwe, Dr. Ama Opoku Ajiman. The next category is the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Leadership. Here are the nominees. Emily Naku, Daniel Doche, Mazubayoni, Esinam Siade, and Benson Owusu. And we have here the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Entrepreneurship, and the nominees are Gregory Roxon, Anthony Jamefe, Aloysius Atta, Selina Bibako Mensa, George Apia. Next, we move to the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Science and Engineering. Here are the nominees. Lois Damti, Joshua Opoku Ajiman, Charles Ofori Atipim, and Angela Tebu. We have the Youth Excellence in Visual Arts, and here are the nominees. Philip Ofori, Joshua Okata, Anita Pearl Anko, Latifa Idris, Bright Akwe. Category is the GhanaWeb Excellence in the Diaspora. It's good to know that we are not just celebrating those who are here with us in Ghana, but their attention is also on our youth who are outside the country and they're still winning big, excelling in whatever they are doing out there. Now here are the nominees for the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in the Diaspora. Einstein Bar in Team, Hifa Ekia Efriye Beiswa, Manu Dihi, Ivy Bali, and Arnold Safo Kantanka. Next, we have the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence in Peace and Diplomacy. Now, here are the nominees. Frank Tebi, Enoch Kwekubaj, Gideon Agbagba, Richard Esuma, Philip Jemfi. Final voting category for this year's GhanaWeb Excellence Awards is the Youth Excellence in Innovation. Here are the nominees. Joshua Opoku Ajiman, Frederick Abila, Jonathan Sora, Gregory Roxon, and Nana Gati. A 17th category. This is the GhanaWeb Youth Excellence Award. Now, this special award will be given to a youth organization by the board. The GhanaWeb Excellence Award is an annual People's Choice Award scheme launched to offer GhanaWeb audience and the general public an opportunity to recognize Ghanaians who have helped in the development of our beloved country. We don't only have the power to nominate people for the awards, but we also have the power to determine who wins by voting. And you know the best part? The voting is simple and free. Stress-free. To vote for your nominee of choice, go to www.GhanaWebExcellenceAwards.com and you would find a list of categories and nominees to choose from. You can also visit www.GhanaWeb.com and click on the GhanaWeb Excellence Awards banner. It will direct you to the voting platform to cast your vote. Now remember that voting is free and it's also strictly one man, one vote. Voting for this year's awards ends on December 14, so start voting for your favorites now. And remember that this year's event will be held virtually on the 21st of December 2022. So do make a date with us. Also, we wish our people the very best, and I just can't wait to see the winners for the
Youth Edition, GhanaWeb Excellence Awards. Too bad that we are not nominated. Conflict of interest. Let's start to us. Okay, thanks for watching. I am Paula Amaboni. I did today's nominee announcement with the gorgeous Elsilama. And don't forget to keep an eye on our beautiful and wonderful programs on GhanaWeb TV. GhanaWeb Excellence Awards Youth Edition. The future is now. Come on GhanaWeb TV. Just a great media, very tight. Yes, I share that. So we can now bling and come catch a natural diamonds now. But well, let's say we miss our name. Say come on GhanaWeb TV. Yeah, back home has say celebrity news, just fearless trends. We are consona. Just say nieko show this industry. Yes, I'm a bunny. My best son in Negro. Man, I'm a very special. I feel 2022. Where we are very last episode of Come On. Just say that more a mean summer brother. Just a mean job. Where they are saying because I am a mamma. Mama, you try and I say a coba and some media. It's a theater, but not the sunny in Negro. Besides my baba and come on GhanaWeb TV. Some say she had a new joke because in some media, hey, you're not a chum. Now they started the Emma Baroni just only say about Comas in your bars or bar hardcore. Hey, you're a bachelor, won't you fake? Hardest MC at the man. Now only a year Nicholas Duncan Williams back when he said the Wells new stage name Abonum. Now a year Nicholas Duncan Williams by the William Nankasa, you're very popular now on social media to bounce said yeah, no your video be us our be a bit or suffer by Mamma judging. Aha. Or what you know be about us, my friend, don't judge me. I Mamma to say which mission permit me as a Medina, he must my best scanning me from me to me down and some more Bobby Biaman to say, no walk on Amaka. Said the Naya calls me their cocody a your softly bana, a year any baron, no to himself, and no Sumifia, so for home. Now, boom, and a wedding in the other better bones, and I only go to your summer, where they are job, Maya, Mudiko, on Saka Castle, way in Finamina radio, so for Bana, yes, and a fine Okusi, where they are more direct him among Cassanti, no one play in Tia. All the videos and so about out, YouTuber, but me, a video in less than 24 hours, over 27,000 views now. The social share and my recommendation it's been positive. A minimum chima, a year derails, a sanko or rapid and that's what to normally check because I say some few seconds and the end and I'm saying the star want to mean check. And on that, the only man on our side, as so be the rest myself who do voice Bahoka Crabinty, as if one mamma Caso, a Sankanka or Carenia, Bian in the Muso Patrician as a Pana Hokopeti was on to that home. But when media has been very good, because I'm after to say, when we share no more canvas and video, so it was on point. I didn't say no dear or better bidding some Paula to a power so in some media also. Now, I could be catching their attention, say, baby, and then pass her. Bompire one or boy mean to make a banana shaping for shit. Oh, yeah, I don't be a corner quotient. I can't say, I ever buy any Duncan Williams banning note at Tija and Cassa. Yeah, so I say, any Black Stars in the city are qualified as a Qatar World Cup 2022. Yeah, but because man for the main but Madam Bassina has said, Sansu Kabim say, what happened? The Quaco Gente, I know to be a Muntias, money and Yadi. One China, we wait and see. Now, I don't mean that as a GFA, your official song about the Tommy for China. No, to say first, no, mate, then I'm saying, no. But I don't want to be a tear, one cause I say wait, I believe it is saying. Now, events, yes, you more a launches, a official song for the Black Stars, no, a Moisha Budon Eco Pure Hobby, and I sister Moisha, moi. Not to say, she was looking so radiant, wash her a shed dress, being a shorts, crab and with my bonnet again, and say, no, because they will be a Becca, but she was looking nice, or she had black braids, that she was looking good. Now, a blogger, a GH have a trip in the Bissani, so, no, you watch, and I don't know so, but then not but she's coming back. Mama say, "Hey, back your key, you slaying back and I say back to evangelize and as a now me asem na say Obaba can say me hina but na Ghana say she's in good health so she was having the time of her life. It's Malaysia announces Obaba back into no na village there we say a jamu ni wane e kweyi keche we na mo papa kwemu Malaysia Budon is back. You talk common so na this is community be she shade kimnam metwetwe maako me yinka kanka na say nya akoyenim na na watwi eye tweet baako a trending ni mu odem efi efia odo efia chema say de so otna say e kan one time card say o betwi ni mu efi eye sexual intercourse say mpemegori o betwi ni mu efi for some time no e best decision efia chema oti o going to mean card kumpuate so bi ni di echika afa manase odi mpemegori say pay for kasa wow so what na making ase efia chema just a Afribanski ni say ya mudi tijeme no de ye bia chan kasa o say is one of the best decision na efia odo on the graphic showbiz interview no chema o say e ma ba na kwemu but when na wo ba kwa to say they want to get into your pants and say you know better that by heart rough big keke and as say efia odo ntin be say mo twe benanga so o efia odo twemp no say and yes I no paint me ma de wo ba na kwemu but as agenda ni we all dress in say na no say ni nje hunti ama te say zimu hu na make say be efia you not in a relationship but chema wo ba ni na wo ni again papa but efia odo twem say de me no wo ka say ya ka say so no de anke ko no kwanka wa ware she's living her life as a family woman but but she's saying say the member na wa bana kuma say one shada nye they are not looking for love simple and short they are not looking for love but my uncle die for reaching cafe na mo pebarondo so cheda and then like she's looking for a very serious man meaning say God fearing hard working says person na say but sister fear do chema being celibate say what can we in Penogoro is one of her best decision until if you say you will show all the best cause closet now right person and so ebeba and you quite not say Ghana law school to say pass out fresh lawyers like I say that November 13 the issue of status on social media and say obia post you be say hey because when you lawyers so criminal as a from as more according to say there's a name hokra na Ghana law school now pass out fresh lawyers na doctor say come despite and the back in the say no can who say the oil lawyer na you know private dinner bit to celebrate ni graduation to say why lawyer that is a tracing on to jina hobi adofo ebusia for father Dexter just a teacher for na invited few we do any coach hon and na can be chairman so the very first lawyer any family no say he feels very proud because I tell ko focus so and any papa scan at say bibia they say we do baby and say what papa coach but also chairman say dey scar wo na say busia ni scar wo ni na say dey bet me dey say sini bo akase onu na ye ebusia first lawyer na kene di nso e kasa na de ehyenko fun kwan no so chemo so no kwa sometimes ye ni papa si be feli di but na o jana na so e chwe ni say dey ara lawyer no chema e ni papa say ba na wa bono e ya de very big kana ha say no bi eni no despite and they say ni di a sheta baby about no so onu kene dey so e ni de pass e wetumi akononim abano hu made ni say dey na papa skenti onu so so tumi esia de say dey wo be dey ba feni say lawyer Kennedy Osei. Say it's also the MNA Mami Evangelist Dinah Asamoah Afi or the Abba Father concert which is shares of a fair UPSC and I just say a teacher for celebrities na just a fans a pool question just organize a fair now him say Dinah Asamoah there and say hey slay or beshia da so no one kasa any program one crown chrome has say and then kasa obeti ase na dress na just say Dinah dey toast so ni dey oh mama Dinah 2 more 4 more for mama Dinah just say to do more I make na nkofoka ninka hwasem ko ba sure yanto ngomano so na evangelist dress no do copy any show yase na one who say red dress yi or shey just say it was well put together kofi akotua na just say style no na ba ko bi so as a silver one bi just say it was on point makeup on point, hair on point. I say, me could have mean there. Just I mean, she was looking like a age. Now, even ahead of a Abba father, many no interview, just so they say the base to George Matt. Just a minor because my the Mr. MPI, then, just a one moment, my also, yes, I say, also, to say, a Bible not chose a maybe that bad, just a name of the Bible, it's only Pianco, share a NDP, and one board by your chema, another dunk also to Chama, also Nanipa Bayana, why, also President Alaba Krum has said, now. Yeah, can you have one more damn pan? I don't know, father. I Russia, Ukraine, war ye, and I say, Yaman and Africa about all those or Chimo said, no. So, what to a bumper, or because I campaign my MPP, also, let's go so I campaign so I'm on Tina, what can I do? Esther has said, now for her say, now I could go. Now to say, yeah, Abba father, and so to say, in some way, they are to do you. Now, Abba father, and it's a man for Chimo, a evangelist, and some of their city there was on point. Who say, a brother, some copy, who be to say, the moon one and me Johanna just say it was well put together to say Mafuchima why at the park was a management in some year by nature and stopping I'm to the Abba father as a so then I'm for can say evangelist Dana somewhere for more to do more say what Abasopa. One of our asama busud eda ponso na chese na what me chese what trendy ankasa in Chirimebe to just say authorities action in the UK for some alleged fraud be I see the US some time back no na say what picking me up a bro Ghana was UK and I just a new team so about to just say and then require which na one train na fan ko see na ba sana mafuji say na so one train I remember na for or wifa fan girl from Ghana or wifa now I say na ko be brave but if your social media trends at say this ko for esoma say omodere yesro say Haja was showing things she was flaunting wealth ni ade na be say my better points say she's being wanted for a year fraud and na mafuji ma na say scanner na offense ni na na say as a frame ni ska area coach na mafuji ma oh asemba mu nya botare say get say court impo one phone say one sentence ni say biasa 8 million fraud na moka say $8 million fraud ni say you kware say you kware but ayen kom hafu bia Ghana for to know say aye won hu lawyer aye won hu judge a sentence sister is say just wait for but mafuji na mu nya botare say there is no official confirmation to say watch any 9% say ya fraud say ya whatever crime no fan betu guarantee be ya botare but any team so aka say enye no kware but post bin so say you mona for any page a Facebook page and make it say atam feeling and many at some is very scant need to for information in and put it together but they say there's hard for you no about to chema watch my voice so make campuses won train but they say there or no kasa and out and official statements and to just be say but they say there na ma for your can say mu na botare say one watching authority say e be kan yen so the ministry na betu but obi ba ko we dey hard for you a cheaper what bob paya mani say yakupo hwetwa nje na adam for your friend Shatawale na say Shatawale nje any mona they go way back any music video ka mona feature munya de na say me ko ba ya mafuti edibi so ati say what say haja for you Shatawale nkwa those also bob paya mona for you say yakupo there's a couple of celebrities and so they've just sympathized with any worker say mona for whatever you are going to hope say yakupo ebedu afofi na say what to make him but say there mona for your fans any other bubu modern mama pade munye de ko say there some dey say you should who meeting in FM but say there so how you po that's a court case or whatever you are hoping say obetumi efimu atage yana to den Rocky Dawuni to say we nyane third Grammy nomination na we dey asem den na 2023 Grammys no ni category best global music performance and at say yabo Rocky din ewemu na ni ma we say never bow down any nomination na to say 2023 Grammys no Burna Boy to say wasanso the nomination we pan say Nigerian films on so feature bi mo so nominating but we dey asem den na me ka kokosisu say member modian body ayebe ya boa Rocky because it's been the third time na we share na to say empire na me be huo say dia me be bia na member modian because dey ya moka na obi nje Grammy obi nominate anti say any papa Rocky once of bring the for 2023 Grammy na member modian na to say na mafuka na say Rocky we show all the best Rocky that won so the 9 December between say it's a very big honor to him say once of bring for the third consecutive time
science na ye hwe nim say the next Grammys the Eba Ghana just say fan chanya fa bebia you are bringing it home live and colored and mama ye gina say Grammy komo yusu na ye ntwa ye ho kakra na ye kɔ ban komo ne de ama beni ma besani ni ne gu ama ye nche kwa ye ntwa ye ho bra sisia Muzazima wakwaba wifa dowa enshawa na se muse krapin for bomba next time sawa mamu na yeto ankomo so dia eye Sandra Ankobia lawyer I sounds you actress or sounds you influencer to say eye to see our provide to Dani say we say yasi na ye kan nia ni marima ye population edu 8 billion those one kasa na ina report ibe to Dana to say ye sister Sandra Ankobia take you to Twitter and you say na na ni ye chimunyan ni ho ka for no barima ye na say someone na person o chese we ye single one na say den na say sister you post or ye say we say ye gbori so ye serious and say e fa ko see but you DJ Mike Smith and the comment say e bia na e Sandra Ankobia next spec ye no pele ye money and I say ni happy ni ase and obaya hu na ya say bia o de see ka be share hono but population dey do so be chese ye gusua ye wo anka say Ghana hankwan ye wo say e bia Bible say mo ka say mo mai ya say no to say empoano anye be no mo but say the same na ye serious let's be serious here Sandra say to say about 8 billion na be senior enya ne ho ka for the mesrem ankasa mo be throw application for land akwa ye to say Sandra Ankobia is available but wo ko pay say Sandra Ankobia dey say o peka crash and say use car cut na back seat say when you Ghana has said they were in the doubt I said that was celebrities and key personalities want to me any advert and my son is a bet and I find a kusi but in Ghana one fast a taboni to so now what your adverts and some adverts in Adena to say we say a companies be on more sponsor on your discount who's I do back what just say break now send me buy na to say FDA Food and Drugs Authority chairman want to me endorse and to say how bro what was I need do they have to even cancel that they had to terminate the contract and then somebody buy or how they buy when they share in other people on the voice out but I say the development ban say artist manager IFN Magdalene say on one manager and bully screen face we see attorney general I go for the Dami and Food and Drug Authority HMA science and almost the ban out to celebrity Susan to me advertisement in some company they also so that some court no dey no dem pay time e pass a court and case celebrities massam ye don't need to na koso I say to other countries why advert no ma in some na mo case ma won yes I say business because no matter the times are hard that's a big deal ka be kwada do ha kudu say wa bani say dem ma fuche ma mark Darlington as we wa court today what be more dey say what pay na what bogu no so say court ni le no case the celebrities say ko ma say my advert ama in Safri art as a world companies and I say Muslim haka edi akomano ana meboa we krom ha de na say say my ye kan say krom ha ye hwe e koma be we scatter so to me 500 so we do so my ye realistic we 100 cities o be try we next can say scan you find on from na that when him say scan pay the entire kasa bebre and say ye man pay kan na I say akodi obo the pond the rapper e dey to that say ade a Chinese mu kra wo krom ha ye to say 4 prizes also he has to spend about 2,000 Ghana cedis just to for his car for 3 days pay automatically say no why you didn't tell authorities right authorities more than I'm going to be found and say no kan na fuche ma we anka NDC time anka wa kwesi da ko ko na miso mu so ye dey so our voice out a couple of times in sa kwadi aka so ba man fix the country na to say how ya communal mo solution there I say a man fu bi pese yes sa kwadi recording na na want say and they try once we say they bia na we fan of sa kwadi chima it takes 2,000 Ghana cedis to film his current business say who tank major and as say 200 and say 300 cedis so bet me but baby na say they say there are 4 parts that cost so ko fi be pack ka we say we di oni chire kroma se be dwuma se traffic bi oni kwa no se bia e ma fo aye late da se bia kroma ye show bia park ni case nchen. We are in for the violence. We say come had a peace. Peace there is just a way. The man from pinpoint violence. Now the brother work kajegunyanum. Now I delay is from Paul Manso. I delay. And now back I and check one no Kumasi. As a pastor being inviting it as a youth experience summit. Me no corner there's a or foot to come out a youth appear on it as a no didn't celebrate to that. I could be a cacao crown so a chairman or was cash is okay. Into Bema Beton so that's all I mean. That's all your guy. No one be added or no kaka who sit so or PF if you compare the that drink can sepa a carbon to cause cars need to hold the brew one for cramp so Chena see a very comfortable life she's okay let me to phone catch you to say no one give you and send consign cause see the brain or that betuda then in some place I send her I got to work on that but I you could see a body of peace of entertainment with your host and no cause now your problem and I advise youth ye pa de tintin da so ade ketwa so da ya ade kesian o wa akofredi de also na wo so for we no bia wo krom hase we tin no so ko se baje asase ni awikin wo kwa kofrefe into kwa bi bia bana mi se sister efia oda de just say na no baba respond na akosi abadi chemo se sam no obisa question na lady ba koka so or person o say don dolo just theater to say response and lady man na encouraging ije no am so na ochirema ye problem na ba betu for na say you know they are grateful in the country I don't know ko friendly no say no say job na say we don't know about it dem no big shada kemana na say debate no response say who kwesi abaje I say say na o kan nsem fu just say no to be man akasa cause we say wala be kule ni mtiade no so fa no hu nchew o se wo kwesi abaje tama na o page masa tebe be hu o chema o se on continue be just na o feel say no need that so bia enne ya na do no baba ya public speaker say o ka say du achia na o pese o de credit motor say o ni people o de na be kasa na ya asem o candidate say delay anya me de I to be a man about you say asem na kan na trash na say bia poni cause o say I na be kasa or a public speaker if what she speaks for a living if your friend another say si hwa no so be e futu ko ma youth mte pese o kasa pese o jaben o so na no wanya adwo pese o chema akokosi say eye kosi abaje eye ho yaw ene o de kasa ba mafun pese ni bisamu mu kosi abaje ya adwen say eye delay was not the right person to be called and I be asana delay I responded to some of the eye go for bisa question wanya ni ya na say o chema eye ho eye keke eye PhD pull her down ya na say ko so kroma but delay there where the man slide you or the be to be ma eye akosi abaje say o chema ko say the say na o kan ni de na semi Other for the baby, woman may fight a young common fee a fear Schwarzenegger or Bashua, Mefini come. Your one who say if Yachima or water, where if you come has it in a near chairman and another copy a turkey, not as a chima. Or a hair transplant, who says if Yashan has a say, you know, quick chica crack, and then I say to say, we say, update and say, well, you two come to say, we come, to say, well, your transplant, says, the baby, say, you need to say, I even say, a good fine, and chima, we scam at a celebrity banner in the sky. Sometimes we are and be upset and quite to me air correcting. And if you are a chema or your hair transplant, so some you might say you could to drink with bananas or other black that channel now say you know your surgeon say you know be a damn cool you know but so correcting I know do chema so take it so you so no can or they are to that you walk away so also now some of your doors but maybe one can make can also be a bay for which is a wizard in the best but tiny no be to that na be always our ko say na o china wa mba na ko ye de so you know na be chira so chema e ni e na hair transplant ni other ones be wa ko ye na e efie ya na me say obi ko kan no be bi o no so no de o ni ko ma ba tutu betumi ato amane mo no chema so no ko ka say agri minister e bon humodin o chema sa planting for food or the ground community or chema minister ye could be a fairly pot and no na mo chema I don't know can say o fie so no de we a politician, which your man is campaign do say one. But say why you need the other can once so need science corner a for them into Ghana for them because even if you are campaigning my LP said only no company will also chema say abana it is so one better home dinner or the living Arab to me castle basel castle or casa or chino can say ne casa bush and you must say whatever all the numbers of each other but community and more dinner casa and if you are chema no day waka but see the more fans of a fair shots nigga more dinner bomb panel because say they are surgeries in nema kaka ko nina they are successful I'm not been saying kind very last episode for the year 2022 no say I feel na many man at say yatala na common ya dini na ya be teacher say me nije na wa pass my supporting and say views na koso ni ade just say trust me the bibia na haya na mo pepe just continue to had A1 you be film you fe bin kan exaggerate say na tina na ya be kan say me kan say mo share ni na say na ya ba be kan say me fans for you na yeah, that must say. I fear that you're going to re-strategize to say very big and better to say in all things going very big. I can say that must say more emotion now. Mukoswa programs I can hear GhanaWeb TV. Mukoswa na motion na ade. Now I fear that you share them say you just you're going back to back and come on there. No of this. You that must say pass and motion. I'm a boni makram. But some sweet this year. And check crowd. Mami kodo biao. We stay tuned.
Welcome to Bistec on GhanaWeb TV, where we bring you business news that trended during the week and an exclusive interview. My name is Na Oyokote. Sishope Elo, a cyber forensic analyst at the E-Crime Bureau, is our guest on this edition. My colleague Mauli Aholimega has the full report.